How does this work? I don't like a goal. All right. Got a couple people joining now. Fantastic. So everybody just joining us, today's topic, and I'm going to keep it up open for a Q&A for everybody at the end, but today's topic is going to be sustainable weight loss. And we're going to really dive into what it really takes to achieve sustainable weight loss. A little bit of a deeper kind of background into the fasting component, the psychology behind why I feel like this is so successful, why we're seeing such success, and how we kind of put it all together into our program. And so I will open up the floor for Q&A at the end. Very, very excited, everybody. This is my first TikTok live. So I've done a couple with Dr. Love, but I've never done one on my own. So I think I get the basic idea, though. I'm just going to talk about a topic and then open it up for Q&A. So super, super excited. Hopefully everybody's had a great day today. And yeah, so let's, I think what I'll do is I'll probably start with some Q&A first, before we get into the live topic to give people a chance to kind of trickle in. So, everybody please go ahead and start throwing your questions. I'd like a little invite to see kind of where you're at. If you want to put your name, where you're from, and then go ahead and throw your question. I greatly appreciate that now, and then we can start with a couple questions and go from there. So we got a question from Steffi580. Nice to meet you, Steffi. And Steffi says that she's having difficulty losing weight no matter what she does. She's been diagnosed with diabetes. She's unmedicated. So I'm guessing that you were diagnosed with pre-diabetes is what I'm guessing. If you want to go ahead and post and clarify whether it was pre-diabetes or whether it was diabetes. So Ozempic is a powerful appetite suppressant, right? And for most people, this is the main roadblock to their ability to achieve weight loss. And so Ozempic, semaglutide, okay, so it looks like she responded. She has full-blown, diabetes. Okay, so Ozempic is a powerful appetite suppressant. These GLP-1s are going to suppress appetite like no other. But when it comes to weight loss, this is not the only factor. Some of the common things that we usually have to address with our patients who are not getting weight loss from these GLP-1s is we have to figure thyroid, we have to figure inflammation, and then we have to figure overall stress levels. And so, because stress levels can affect cortisol, and cortisol not being in sync with the daily rhythm can also greatly affect the ability for you to lose weight. And so, but I would say that with these medications, they are so powerful, and hunger, overeating, eating too much is the main roadblock for most people. And so this is why most people are noticing that these medications have been so powerful for them, diabetics or non-diabetics. But I do notice that diabetics sometimes don't get as powerful of an appetite suppressing effect as non-diabetics do. And it kind of makes sense when you think about it. The medication itself is intended to drive blood glucose down. It increases the insulin secretion. It increases your responsiveness to insulin. It slows down the gastric emptying, and it in the mind, literally on your hypothalamus, it calms down that food chatter by literally signaling less hunger signals. But so that's what it's doing for everybody. But when you're a diabetic, you unfortunately are starting from a different point than somebody else who's non-diabetic. When you're diabetic, your insulin's already usually higher. You're already not as responsive to insulin. So the medication is doing the same things for somebody who's not diabetic. But somebody who's not diabetic is essentially starting from a better point, right? So your insulin isn't as high and your responsiveness isn't as low. So the effects of appetite suppression naturally are going to be, its weight loss effect too as well is naturally going to be more potent for you when you're not diabetic. So I know that's not great news to hear. So you're like, well, what do I do? The reality is that you're going to have to do a lot more than the non-diabetics who are taking Ozempic. And so this is going to kind of, I'll get into this, and this will kind of also add to your question as well. But we got to focus on the big picture, and that's where the prolonged fasting comes into play. So we're going to pause that question, and you're going to get the whole spiel of today's presentation when we talk about sustainable weight loss. And then we're going to circle back if you have any follow-up questions on that. So if you're just joining us, guys, we have been live for a couple minutes here. I'm Dr. Jones. I'm a functional practitioner by trade, and I specialize in weight loss and anti-aging services. So today's focus is going to be weight loss, and specifically we're going to be focusing on how to make it sustainable. How do we make our weight loss sustainable? Because there's so much commotion right now going around about these GLP-1s, and rightfully so, they're so freaking powerful. But I think that if you don't set yourself up for success in terms of, well, what do I mean by that, right? What is the most important question you should be asking yourself when you're embarking on a weight loss journey? In my opinion, it should be, what am I going to do after the weight loss journey, right? Two reasons. Number one, I want you to have a positive mindset, not if I can lose weight, I'm going to lose the weight, right? But number two, the statistics. The statistics are staggering. When you guys look at the statistics, 80% of people will fail. So 80% of people who lose more than 10% of their body weight, which is most of us who have to lose weight, are going to fail to keep it off within a couple years of losing the weight. So I want you to let those statistics sink in, because that is staggering, right? It is a horrible statistic, and it's a huge roadblock in front of us. Like, how are we going to overcome that? Well, from the beginning, I think you need to set yourself up for success and be focusing on the more difficult part of the equation. The more difficult part of the equation is going to be, how am I going to keep it off? Okay, so let's dive right in, guys. So the thing that you need to be doing, the thing that most of us would agree on if we're embarking on a weight loss journey is, okay, I got to change something after I lose the weight in that post-weight loss phase. I got to change my operating basis. I can't just lose weight by doing a bunch of stuff and then think I can slip back into my normal routine to be able to keep it off, right? Most of us are going to agree. So then the thing that most of us are going to transition into is some amount of whatever it is that I did to lose the weight, right? And so what are the popular methods of weight loss? You have the keto diet. You have those companies that do the guesswork for you and send the food to you. You have the old school method, which is your own, I call it the bootstrap method, which is, in my opinion, second to our method, the flow protocol. I think that's the best method out there, which is the commitment to the exercise regimen, the resistance training, the cardiovascular, the portion control of your food, the counting the calories, the counting the macros. And as stressful as that sounds, it's very effective for the people that actually commit to it and do it. But even with that method being what I think is one of the best methods besides our method, if you really think about it, even for the people that put their best foot forward, we know that life, unfortunately, is going to throw so much at us. It's going to throw so much unforeseen circumstances, new jobs, deaths, marriages, freaking kids, more than maybe we planned for. And so, unfortunately, even with the best intentions forward, we are not going to be able to commit to those things, the lots of exercise, the lots of nutritional strategies, the counting calories, the counting the macros, the keto diet. It becomes very, very difficult for us to commit to those things in the future. And so this is the problem, in my opinion, that people run into. They're not able to keep up with the things necessary in order for them to be able to keep it off. So when people ask me, what is my definition of a sustainable weight loss program? My definition is this. The cleanest definition is the least amount of effort that it takes for you to lose the weight in a healthy manner, right? So I want that to sink in for a second. The least amount of effort that it takes for you to keep the weight off or to lose the weight in a healthy manner. And the reason why I define it that way, because I'm not trying to say my way is the only way. I do think it's the most successful way, but is because if it's the least amount of effort, a lot less than what we were capable of doing during the 2 months or the 4 months or the 6 months, then if you think about it logically, our ability to keep up with those things in the future, it's in our favor, right? Like, despite the stressors, despite all that stuff that's going to come our way, if the bar is low, if the effort is low, if I didn't make you count your calories, if I didn't make you count your macros, if you didn't have to portion control, if you didn't have to follow the keto diet, if you didn't have to follow a list of foods like some of these programs do where you can only choose these foods, if you didn't have to do any of that, how much easier is it going to be for you to be able to lose it? And we're about to talk about how we can accomplish this in a second, but just think logically for a second. In terms of when you look at that, are you able to feel good about your ability to commit to it? See, like, I'm not a fan of big restrictive list of foods. I'm not a fan of saying you got to cut sugar 100%. You got to cut the thing 100% cut of alcohol. There's a time and place for those types of strict situations, right? Autoimmune diseases being the biggest one. Unfortunately, if you have an autoimmune disease, you're not going to have as much wiggle room. But for everybody else that doesn't have one of these constraining conditions, then I personally think that it's more sustainable to have a healthy relationship with these foods and to say to yourself, I'm going to be able to eat a little bit of chocolate, a couple drinks of alcohol, a couple glasses of wine, a couple brownies, whatever your vice is, but have an amount that you can then still maintain your weight. Okay, so now, how the heck do we maintain it? What is the secret sauce? What is the answer to all this? And for the people that just joined us, I'm Dr. Jones, DC. I'm a weight loss expert, and I'm talking about sustainable weight loss. We just got into it a little bit about my opinions and observations over the past 2 decades of working in this space, and we talked about the common pitfalls. We talked about the reasons why people are unsuccessful at keeping it off. And there's so much going on right now with these GLP-1 medications, and there's such a craze right now in the weight loss industry. But we're seeing it over and over and over with patients who are calling us right now saying they hit a plateau or they're starting to gain their weight back and they're freaking out. And so, what is the secret sauce? The secret sauce is not the GLP-1 medication. And I apologize, I have a kid in the other room who's being a little bit loud. So the answer is prolonged fasting. The answer is prolonged fasting, and I cannot stress that more. So what do I mean by prolonged fasting? What I mean is a fasting window that exceeds 24 hours and preferably 48 to 72 hours. That is the secret sauce. That is the answer to the question of how can I keep this off? So then we're going to get into how we can work up to that. That's going to be the next part. So you got to bear with me here. But why is it so sustainable? Why is it so important? Well, let's do some numbers here so that you guys can think with it, okay? So on average day amount of calories that your body burns at rest is going to range for everybody, but anywhere from 1,600 to 2,000 calories, right? Sometimes a lot more. So that's, we'll just say for easy numbers on the low end, 1,500 calories, right? Well, an hour of intense exercise, you're going to burn about 500 to 600 calories. So that's freaking 3 hours of exercise that you can either do or you can fast for a single day. Now, if we turn that fast to 48 hours or 2 days, now we're talking freaking 3,000 to 4,000 calories. It's not even healthy for you to be exercising that much, number one. And number two, it is healthy if you spread out that exercise day by day by day. But again, folks, let's look at the logics of it here. Let's look at the reality. How real is it that you're going to be able to commit to an hour of exercise every single day? It's just not realistic. And this is where I think most people set themselves up from failure, and why I stress to patients, do not start your weight loss journey with a bunch of exercise, because if that's the vehicle that you used to lose your weight, how are you going to keep up with that for the rest of your life? As much and as important as it is to lose weight, it becomes difficult to rely on just that. So the fasting, it's freaking easy to rely on fasting for multiple reasons, right? Again, the difficulty of doing the fast, that's going to be the next topic. So don't let me forget that, because I don't have a set of I don't have a set of bullet points in front of me here, but I'm doing this all from my head. So the next thing we're going to talk about is how we can make the fasting easy. I think most of us would agree logically, the more fasting I do, the easier it's going to get. So just kind of bear with me there. But the calorie burning potential from fasting is astronomical, right? Because of those numbers that we just talked about. And it's so much easier to commit to a regular schedule of fasting. So we put our patients on a 48-hour weekly fast, right? This is how we get the results. We use the peptides to help, and we're going to talk about that next. But we do a 48-hour weekly fast, and then it is, once we lose the weight, it is that ability to have a 48-hour fast in our lifestyle. You wouldn't do 48 hours every week, though. You would do a 48-hour fast maybe every 2 weeks, maybe every 3 weeks, maybe a 3-day fast every 4 to 6 weeks. Stack that with daily intermittent fasting. You're going to find a rhythm, and that's what our patients do after they lose their weight, is they can now do these long fasting periods, the 2 to 3 day fast. They don't need the peptides anymore. They don't need the help because they've built enough metabolic flexibility from within their body, and they can maintain that. And you are going to choose the amount of fasting that you need to do based off of your lifestyle. So we still want you to commit to exercises. We still want you to commit to a healthy lifestyle. But as that's going to be fluctuating with your lifestyle, you can fast to make up for that and find the perfect amount for you based off that lifestyle. Always trying to do your best, but not, of course, not having the stress of knowing, hey, there's a couple weeks where I couldn't exercise, or there's a couple weeks where I ate worse than I did. Well, guess what? You can now make up for it with the aggressive fasting. Okay, if you're just joining us, guys, we just finished part 2 of today's talk. We first talked about the pitfalls with standard approaches towards weight loss. And then we just now finished the secret being prolonged fasting, and why that affords us a luxury that we, unfortunately, if we rely on just exercise and dieting, we don't have, right? And what we are now going to talk about is how the heck do we embark on a journey of prolonged fasting? I mean, this is just like, how do we do it, right? You make it sound so simple, Dr. Jones. Like, how is it possible? Well, I'm going to make it easy for you guys, and most of us already know it's the freaking peptides. The freaking peptides make it really easy. So if you're just joining us, please introduce yourself. Please introduce your name, where you're from, and questions, because after I'm done with part 3, I'm going to open up the floor to questions. And the consultations are free, by the way, just to let you guys know. Please, in my bio, if you're not a follower, please follow us. And for more great healthy information in the field of anti-aging and weight loss. In my bio, you can click, there's a link there to reach out to us. You can either call us directly, or you can fill out a form, and my team can reach out to you, and we can schedule a consultation with myself so that we can discuss the issues that you're going into, or the issues that you're dealing with. Okay, so let's talk part 3. How do we embark on the weight loss journey? Nice to meet you, Judith from LA. I appreciate you joining and introducing yourself. So the 2 roadblocks to starting a prolonged fasting program is going to be hunger, and it's going to be energy. Good evening to you, Laura, from Myrtle Beach. Myrtle Beach is actually a beautiful area, by the way. I've spent a lot of time there myself. So I think the hunger goes without saying. Most of us here have heard about Mounjaro and Ozempic. So that's easy. I don't think we need to waste time talking about those. Those medications are going to suppress your hunger, so the hunger is not going to be an issue. The second part, though, this is the one that takes a little bit more explaining to understand. So the second peptide that we use is called AOD 9604. AOD 9604 is a fragment of the human growth hormone. It's specifically the fat loss portion of human growth hormone. And the reason why I use it is because in the beginning, like we talked about earlier, after lots of fasting, it gets easier to do, right? After you train your muscles, they get stronger. After your immune system gets exposed to pathogens, viruses, and bacteria, your immune system gets stronger. Hint, hint, but I don't want to talk about vaccines right now. The same thing is with your metabolism and your metabolic flexibility. The more you fast, the easier it gets. But in the beginning, you don't have that metabolic flexibility. Nobody has a high amount of metabolic flexibility unless they have done lots of ketogenic diet. I'm talking months and months and months, or they've done a decent amount of long fasting and done it frequently. In fact, minimum of 2 months of weekly prolonged fasting for you to get a real adaptive response. So in the beginning, AOD 9604 is the bridge, right? It's the highway between where you're at now and where you're going to be after a couple of months of fasting to build that metabolic flexibility, right? So the reason why people talk about basically hypoglycemia and low blood sugar issues when they start a long fast, headaches, tiredness, brain fog, all sorts of things. The reason why people talk about that is because their metabolism is not able to mobilize their own body fat fast enough to meet the energy demands. So therefore their body goes wonky, and they can even get emotional and cranky and hangry, right? You've heard that term, hangry, right? I get asked this question all the time. Can I do this if I'm hypoglycemia? If I have issues? You absolutely. In fact, you should be doing this program more than others, because if you get regular amounts of hypoglycemia, in most cases, it's because your body's not able to go without eating. If you're the kind of person that has to eat every couple of hours because your blood sugar drops, that's a freaking problem. That's not normal. Our body is supposed to be able to go longer periods without eating. So this whole idea that you have to eat is nonsense. Although it makes sense if you got to function and you got to work. And so feeding yourself every so often when you get low blood sugar is a Band-Aid effect so that you can, live your life and go to work and not deal with those symptoms. But long term, there's a problem with your metabolism. And so this will fix that, by the way. And we work with patients like that ever so carefully, and ever so cautiously. So AOD 9604 is the bridge for us to be able to get, I call it artificially induced metabolic flexibility. That's what AOD does. So it's the combination of both of those peptides that allows our patients to jump right into the long fasting program so that you can get the weight off just like everybody else is doing. But then at the end of the result, at the end of your Ozempic journey, your Mounjaro journey with us, by the way, we do a compounding pharmacy, so it's called semaglutide and tirzepatide, but I'm using the common name. By the time you're done with us, compared to someone else who lost the same amount of weight, who paid less money, and I have no problem with saying that, they're not going to have the metabolic flexibility that you have, and they're not going to be able to do the long fasting that you will be able to do, and they're going to have a harder time keeping the weight off. Okay, guys. So that, and the rest of the time is going to be open up for questions. And I saw a lot come in, and I appreciate everybody who introduced themselves. So I'm going to scroll all the way to the top here and start kind of jumping into some questions, guys. If you just showed up, I just finished today's talk about sustainable weight loss, guys. Everything is about sustainable weight loss right now because the statistics speak for themselves. It's a freaking awful thing to gain your weight and to lose your weight and regain it. Trust me when I say I lived it for freaking in my 20s, which is supposed to be an easier time. I struggled and I freaking, this is why I always tell people, like, I have all this loose skin, a significant amount of loose skin, because, I will never get that tight look because of the amount of yo-yoing I did. I personally yo-yoed my weight for over a decade. I couldn't keep it off. This is before I knew about fasting and prolonged fasting. I did the old school method to lose my initial 100 pounds. I counted calories. I counted macros. I committed to a workout regimen that consisted of both cardiovascular and weight training. And I freaking kicked butt and I lost it when I was 16 years old. But unfortunately, I started college and I started life and I couldn't keep it off. I knew how to lose weight, which is why every year, January, I sucked it up and I put my bootstraps on and I got serious, but then every fall I just got lazy. I didn't get lazy, it just got hard. It got hard to keep up with the amount of effort because I had so many other responsibilities in my life. And that's where I think most people struggle. It's like they know how to do it, but the amount of effort to keep it up long term is too difficult in their life. And when you're not dealing with obesity and health complications that are staring you in the face telling you if you don't do this, you're going to die, or if you're not already becoming a diabetic and have these major health complications that are enough motivation for you to say, no, you know what? I got to prioritize this over everything else. Most of us don't have that. Most of us are well before that. And because we are, it's harder for you to prioritize your weight management above everything else. And so this is why even more so for you, you need something easier to do so you can just plug and play into your life. So anyhow, let's dive into the questions. This question I got, we talked about the diabetes. So Steffi, if you're still with us, then I hope that answers your question. So now let me jump in a little bit more for the diabetes. We do work with diabetic patients, and you better believe I got a patient right now who I'm about to post a video probably next week. She's going to come back from vacation. She's a type 2 insulin dependent diabetic. That's the most difficult person to get onto a fasting regimen because her internal systems are so wonky. And we actually gave her a double dose of AOD, and she was very careful about pushing herself. She started with daily intermittent fasting, and oh my God, she is so sweet. She would call me with her updates and let me know how she was doing, and she's doing a 48-hour fast now. And she's 76 years old, insulin-dependent type 2 diabetic. So is that an anomaly? I don't think so. Do I think all insulin type 2 diabetics are going to be able to do what she did? No, I don't. I think she busted her butt. She was very tedious. She was serious about it. I think the double dose of AOD was necessary for her, and it made the world of a difference. So hopefully that answers your question, Steffi. And then if you mentioned Ozempic doesn't work. So if you are not able to take the GLP-1 medications because of whatever reason, the family history of thyroid cancers or active pancreatitis, or it just doesn't work for you, which is rare, we have a backup for appetite suppression. It's called tesofensine, and tesofensine is pretty amazing. It's classified as a triple monoamine reuptake inhibitor, which is basically just what that means is it inhibits the reuptake of all three important neurotransmitters: dopamine, noradrenaline, and serotonin. And so if we get more dopamine, we have better control over our cravings, our mental cravings for food, the food chatter. And the noradrenaline means that we have an increased metabolism. And the serotonin means that we have less of the physical, like growling and physical contractions of the stomach for hunger. So is tesofensine stronger for appetite suppression than GLP-1s? No, but it's pretty dang close. And it's a really good substitute if you can't get on the GLP-1s in our program. All right. So hello to Heather from Colorado. I'm in Colorado too, so maybe we'll see you in the clinic. Steffi has diabetes now. Weight loss with PCOS. So it's harder. It's harder to lose weight with PCOS. PCOS is going to essentially your hormones are messed up. Your sex hormones. And so I actually work with a great women's health practitioner. We do telemed right now. She's actually a women's health practitioner. She's been specializing in women's health for 20 years. So I work with her. People always ask, because I'm a doctor of chiropractic, full disclosure, like I'm not prescribing any of this stuff, although I know this stuff very freaking well. And I'll put my knowledge head to head with any other primary care physician. But I work with medical practitioners. I work with a women's health practitioner. So we do this all the time. And PCOS is something we definitely can work with. And it's very doable to overcome. It's just going to be a little bit harder and probably necessary to get your hormones balanced at the same time. But we can do a blood test and we can figure that out. All right. So guys, if you just joined us, my name is Dr. Jones. I'm a functional practitioner. I specialize in weight loss and peptide therapies, anti-aging. I appreciate people that have been staying on today's call today's live so far. This is my first live, so I'm super excited. And so please introduce yourself, your name, where you're from, and a question. the question can be anything. I would prefer it to be on topic with weight loss, sustainable weight loss, the GLP-1 medications, and peptides. So I'm definitely willing to go outside of weight loss too as well, but we got a whole other half hour that I'm here with you guys. And then I'm actually going to join Dr. Love. He asked me to join him at 8 o'clock in his, much bigger audience that he talks to. So we'll be doing that in about 30 minutes. So we're definitely still available for as many questions as we can get. Okay, so Elijah asks, I work out every day, but I still have a hard time losing my gut. Any suggestions? So, yes, absolutely. As a male, you guys probably notice this when you see men and the way they store fat. They tend to store the gut more, but some men more so than others. I mean, I've seen men come in with lean vascular arms and a big belly, and that's a problem because that body fat, that visceral fat, that fat that surrounds the organs and the organ tissue is very inflammatory. Now, there is more research coming out about how inflammatory all fat tissue is, but even more so with the gut. So if you feel like you're struggling with weight loss, Elijah, it could be an inflammatory issue, or it could just be that the stimulus isn't high enough. And so definitely, if you want to learn more about our approach, click our bio. By the way, everybody, if you want to download my free ebook, you click my bio. There's a link in there for a free ebook. If you want to just start there and learn more about our sustainable weight loss approach. If you're ready to schedule a consultation too as well, you can also reach out to us, or you can give us a call directly yourself. I mean, we're here to help you guys in this issue of sustainable weight loss, because I really think that we cracked the code. I haven't seen anybody do an approach just like us. And so the results that we've been seeing with our patients have been freaking astronomical, to say the least. Okay, so Steffi, another question she asked was about the hunger. So I think I handled that. For you, if you were to work with us, I'd probably be looking at the tesofensine as an additional appetite suppression. We also have we have a long list that we go down the totem pole, because fasting is the answer, but how can we make it possible? We'll find a solution for you to make it possible. Do I try fiber? I think fiber, hopefully you're getting enough vegetables in your diet so that you don't need fiber. But if you're not getting enough vegetables, I think a good psyllium husk product is great. An organic psyllium husk product to just increase your fiber intake if you're not getting enough, I think is phenomenal. I'm assuming maybe you meant as an appetite suppressant. I haven't actually recommended that as an appetite suppressant, which is kind of funny, but I think I would actually add that to my options for people that can't do any medication. I think psyllium husk could probably help. I don't think you can really overdo it in fiber. I mean, I'm sure you can, but it'd probably be pretty hard to overdo it in fiber. So I'm going to try that myself actually on my next fast and see if I notice. Logically, I think I would notice an appetite suppressant. Jenna said that would work for me. Not sure what you're referring to. Let's see. So macros. Okay, so the macros. This is, let me just not get lost here. Okay, so the macros. I don't assign any macros, guys. Don't worry about macros. Now, that sounds kind of crazy, right? Just about every other person that does a weight loss program is going to tell you to stress about the macros. But if you were listening to this whole TikTok live, and I'm going to say it for the people that joined us later, my definition of the most sustainable weight loss program. You ready for this, guys? If I had a drum roll, I would have somebody play the drums. I'm sure there's probably a way to do that. My definition of the most sustainable weight loss program is the least amount of effort for you to successfully lose the weight in a healthy manner. That's it. And so counting calories and macros, counting calories, that's a great experiment. Don't get me wrong. You're going to benefit from taking the time to learn the caloric content, to learn the calories and macronutrients. And we can assign you an ideal profile. It's not that counting macros doesn't help. In fact, it'll actually help more. But my problem is for most people, there's a few obsessive OCD people that I can think of that would love to do that. And by all means, we can set you up with the best macronutrient profile. But for a lot of people, that it sucks. I mean, screw that. I'm already busy enough trying to do everything else. I don't want to sit there and count my calories, count my macros. And so we're not going to make you do it. That's our normal approach. And so if you're wondering what kind of food I should be eating, Mediterranean and paleo. Let's keep it simple, folks. And again, there's going to be exceptions. People with food sensitivities, people with autoimmune diseases. Of course, we're going to make exceptions for situations. But for everybody else, just eat 90% of your food from the paleo Mediterranean categories. And I don't care what the hell you eat for the next 10%. And I really mean that. And our patients do that. And you keep that healthy relationship. Your likelihood of binging on your favorite food months later is going to be significantly lower if you've been able to eat a little bit of your favorite food every now and then. And you can mitigate that with the amount of fasting that we do. It's crazy, but if you might be wondering, well, what about the inflammatory effects of that 10% of junk food that you're saying I can eat? Well, guess what fasting does? It's freaking anti-inflammatory. It's reparative. It actually repairs the damage that some of that food is doing to us. That not so perfect food that we know we shouldn't be eating, but I would prefer that you eat a small amount of. The process, the name is called cellular autophagy, self-cell eating. Your cells actually repair itself. So your cells have organs, right? So the human body has organs, which is necessary for life. And a human body is made up of billions of cells. Each cell is an individual. Biology defines a cell as the single smallest unit of life. A cell has organs in it called organelles. And those organelles, just like the organs of a human body, can become, I would say, not necessarily broken down. They can break down too, but they can become less effective, right? They can have organelles just like a weak liver or a failing kidney or a starting to fail kidney, right? The human body's still alive, but the body's overall health is compromised due to one or more organs not functioning at 100%. Well, the same concept applies to your cells. And so cellular autophagy is literally a process that it doesn't get turned on until you get into that deep fasting 36-hour plus. But cellular autophagy is a process where your body will literally eat those organelles that are not functioning as well and then repair them when you eat. So literally, your body is repairing itself on a much deeper level when you fast, by the way, which I think is why our patients can get away with maybe, like I said, not eating as clean as they can, or as they maybe think they should. Aaron says, just joined and I'm excited to see you on here. Thank you so much, Aaron, for coming and joining us. Jenny from New Jersey as well. Looks like I need to back up a little bit so I can get through everybody's questions. All right, here we go. Let's see. And by the way, guys, if you just joined us, we're basically into the Q&A part of today. I'm Dr. Jones. I'm a functional practitioner. I specialize in weight loss, peptide therapy, anti-aging services. And so we're opening up to a Q&A for all of your questions related to sustainable weight loss. If you've enjoyed yourself, guys, please give us a like and subscribe to Colorado Medical. I really appreciate that. If you've been enjoying yourself, if you found this information informative, we got about 20 more minutes. And I definitely plan on doing this every single week. And once we get a big enough audience, I'll do it twice a week because I'm crazy like that. No, you guys can tell that I really enjoyed that. If you want a free copy of our ebook to learn more about achieving sustainable weight loss, then please click my bio and download a free copy. If you're ready to schedule a consultation, you can also click up there and schedule a consultation. All right. So consultations are free. We talked about that. Hello to Judith and Jana from Greeley, Colorado. It's a pleasure to meet you. And Jeannie from New Jersey. Nice to meet you in Myrtle Beach. Stephanie from Texas. This is freaking awesome. Okay. So Juju Bear said, when we eat heavy weightlifting weekdays before fasting, concern about losing muscle. So I actually did a whole video on it, so I won't waste time on this live. I just posted it today. It was actually a response to Peter Attia, and I feel like I look up to Peter Attia. Dr. Attia is phenomenal, and I follow a lot of his work. So for me to disagree with him is very, let's just say I wouldn't even say I necessarily disagree with him, but he observed a lot of muscle wasting in his patients. And so we're not observing muscle wasting with our patients. And so I opened the floor to more Q&A, and maybe I'll hear back from him. I don't know. That'd be super cool. But we're not noticing muscle wasting. So let's talk about that. There's a phenomenal article. There's plenty of articles that talk about this. But one of the driving factors why I think, so let me take a step back. When you do prolonged fasting, it is not muscle wasting. In fact, I believe, and many others, including Jason Fung, another high-end fasting expert that's been doing this for a lot longer than me, believe that long fasting is actually protective against muscle. One of the mechanisms behind this is growth hormone gets increased naturally. Like one of these articles talk about a 5-time increase in your growth hormone levels on day 2 of fasting. That is phenomenal. And growth hormone is very, very protective against muscle tissue. And if we think evolutionarily speaking, our ancestors, and this, by the way, guys, this is why we call our protocol the flow protocol, fasting like our ancestors did. I think that's really cool, that name that I came up with. But if you think about our ancestors, they were doing regular amounts of prolonged fasting all the time, right? Just by pure survival. And so it wouldn't make sense if their body started breaking down muscle and they were getting weaker in those days that it took to hunt the next animal. Doesn't make sense. In fact, it makes sense the opposite, that they would be heightened. That's why you see increases in catecholamines. That's why people talk about decreased brain fog, increased energy, or they're on point when they're fasting, because your body's literally in more of a sympathetic tone. There's more adrenaline going for that fight or flight. Now, if you keep that fasting on for long enough, say 4 or 5 days plus, the opposite will happen, because now your body goes, oh crap, I don't know if you're going to successfully hunt that animal. And so we gotta slow down your metabolism. And the fastest way to slow down your metabolism is to burn muscle. One of the ways to slow down your metabolism is burn muscle. The other way is decrease thyroid output. And usually both happen. So our program, we're not noticing muscle loss because of the prolonged fasting and the fact that we're big advocates of muscle building, hypertrophy. You got to lift weights. You got to lift weights with the goal of building muscle mass in order to protect the muscle mass during your weight loss program. That goes for any weight loss program, guys. If you starve yourself, you're going to lose muscle mass. We got to prevent that. So prolonged fasting and weight training are the 2 keys to protecting your muscle mass. All right. Got a lot of hellos. This is awesome. Okay, so Love First Blonde says, I can't seem to get my head back in it. I fasted multiple times. I agree with what you are saying. Look, I appreciate you agreeing. It sounds like you're saying that you have not been able to successfully get into a rhythm, probably because of those hypoglycemic reactions. And so AOD 9604 is a beautiful peptide. And every now and then I have a patient who hunger is not an issue. And so if hunger is not an issue, if you can do a 48-hour fast, then we'll save you some money and we won't even sell you the tirzepatide. Because now, granted, I think most people can't actually do this, but I do have a few people that can do 48-hour fasting every week without the hunger being an issue. And then we just do AOD 9604. Because AOD 9604 is going to be probably what you need and while you're running into the struggles of being able to complete the fast. All right. So the first peptides, again, guys, in our protocol is tirzepatide, which the pharmaceutical name is Mounjaro. I was talking to somebody the other day because I called it Mounjaro, but it's actually Mounjaro. I guess it's a French name. I don't know. So tirzepatide. We could also do semaglutide or Ozempic or Wegovy, right? So we could do one of those, and then we stack that with AOD 9604. All right. So clarified the peptides. I'm out for dinner using Ozempic. What would be the best thing to drink? Well, that depends. Are you trying to fast, or are you talking about? I need more context for that question. I'm not sure what you mean, but generally speaking, let's avoid sugary drinks because we're talking about weight loss here. If you're talking about an alcoholic beverage, my go-to is a honestly, like if you're talking about an alcoholic beverage, if you could do it neat on the rocks. I know for a lot of people that's really hard to do. So then I hate to say diet soda because diet soda is horrible. It has its own problems. But again, if you're going to do it anyways, I would rather you do that short term for the purpose of getting decreased amount of sugar. But really, I would ask you to work on trying to sweeten your own drinks. You know something that you can do, by the way, if you can't do neat hard alcohol or on the rocks, liquid stevia, you can take it with you. You could literally you can get some vodka at the bar, ask for water, ask for lemon, and sweeten it with liquid stevia. You know, I travel with my liquid stevia all the time because I can't stand those artificial sweeteners. And I have not 100% cut diet soda, but I very, very much limit it to maybe 1 can or 2 the most a week. And so when I'm traveling, I take my liquid stevia with me. So you can use that when you travel too as well. Pull it out of your pocket or whatever. Or if you're traveling out of your backpack, and you can use that to sweeten your coffee on the go. You can use it to sweeten your alcoholic beverages. How do I make an appointment? So if you're just tuning in, guys, it looks like we have 26 people in us hanging out today, so that's freaking awesome. We're talking about sustainable weight loss. We got about 15 minutes left before I join Dr. Love, who's a neuroscientist, and we're both going to be talking about weight loss and peptides, but also looking at cognitive enhancement and Alzheimer's prevention with him. But right now, we're continuing to keep the floor open for questions related to sustainable weight loss. And so please give us a like if you're enjoying our yourself. Subscribe to us for more content. I put out, I'm beast mode, guys. I'm going to be honest with you. I'm pumping out content 3 a day, and I ain't stopping. And I'm going to find informative stuff for us to help you on your fitness journeys. And address all of the different roadblocks to that. So if you want a free copy of my ebook, please click that link in the bio, or if you're ready to schedule a free consultation as well. Okay, so let's see. How often do you take AOD? In our program, we recommend once a day, but there are situations where you can take it twice a day. There are situations where you can do AOD in the morning and growth hormone peptides in the evening. So there's lots of different variables that we can play with. Yes, all peptides require a prescription. So Kimberly asked, do they require a prescription? All peptides require a prescription. I work with medical practitioners side by side, and we do a comprehensive medical evaluation. We take labs, and then we submit the prescription. So that is how that works. All right. Do you have to be over a certain BMI to get weight loss help? Not with us. You could be anybody and get weight loss help with us. If you're talking about, which I think you're talking about getting Wegovy. Wegovy is the pharmaceutical version of semaglutide that is prescribed for weight loss. And if you're trying to get insurance coverage, yes, your BMI has to be really high. You have to be obese. And number 2, insurance coverage is really weak for Wegovy. I don't know why. I don't know why they made that medication if they're not going to cover it. We can sell it to you much cheaper than. By the way, folks, we can sell you these medications for much cheaper than the cash rate for Mounjaro. We can sell it cheaper than that. We can sell it to you cheaper than the Ozempic and Wegovy, and then the pharmaceutical brands. So. Hello, Terry from Philly. It's freaking awesome to meet you. Let's see. Heather just set up a consultation. That's freaking awesome. Let's see. Kimberly asked about hormones and belly fat storage. That can be a few hormones. Generally, I'm thinking cortisol, but that could be issues with your progesterone and estrogen as well. So yeah, you should reach out to us and see if me and Laura can help you. Have a consult this Friday. That's freaking awesome. Let's see. Ooh, I accidentally went to the front. Let's see. Yes, we do offer financial assistance. I have a company that I work with, that's like Care Credit. So if you want like an interest-free deal, we have interest-fee financing, I guess. Because I know those interest things can be killer. Yo-yo dieted for years. Yeah, I know it. Let's just say. What is allowed to fast? So what can you take during the fasting window? It's a great question. If you want to fast for maximum health, water fasting is probably the way to go. We're not recommending that. Absolutely not. You need to be already healthy or healthy enough, in my opinion, to do some deep water fasting. That's a whole nother beast. And then you have waterless fasting, which is even another beast after that. We're not talking about any of that. Most of you are in poor health, which is understandable because you're overweight, or at least moderately poor health. And so you absolutely have to take your nutrition, your vitamin D, and high quality fish oil, magnesium, and electrolytes. That's the mandatory 5 in my program. And then of course, lots of you are probably going to need anti-inflammation support. Lots of you might need digestive enzymes there's so much more. Poor gut health, BPC 157, which is a gut healing peptide. But those are going to be the what I want you to take. Now, what else can you take during your fast? Off of supplements, I'm okay with you splashing some sugar-free creamer in your coffee. Nut Pods is actually my favorite. It's a brand that you can get everywhere. It's not perfect. It's got a little bit of reactants for some of my sensitive autoimmune people, but overall, it's freaking tastes great. It's low calorie. It's dairy-free, soy-free, gluten-free, everything free except flavor and taste. And so I'm okay with you splashing that. And look, in your first fast, if you got to eat some pickles or you got to have a little bit of bone broth, I'm okay with that. That's a modified fast. But in our program, we do want you to get to just the supplements and maybe some sugar-free creamer as quickly as you can. Okay. Yes, for people that are in our program, I have people talking to me that are in our program. We are going to be doing separate boards. We don't have those set up yet, but we are going to be doing separate private groups for our patients that are already on the program, so that it's more straight to the point and not, this style of format. So absolutely stay tuned for that. Probably give me a couple more weeks to kind of finalize. We're trying to figure out which format we want to go with. Jenna says, so glad I addressed that. I wish I knew what she was talking about, but glad I did too. Darlena from Kentucky. All right, so we're gonna go on to I'm gonna do the straight to the top for the most recent questions. Thank you so much, Annie, for saying that I'm awesome. I really appreciate that. We're down to our last 5 minutes, guys. Let's see here, and then I'm still gonna be available. By the way, I'm just gonna be hooking up with Dr. Love, and I let him control the TikTok live. What do you eat to get enough protein? So when I am eating, I like to get my protein sources from food. I do not like to use supplements. There's nothing special about supplements other than convenience. Let that sink in. There is nothing special about any protein supplement other than convenience. The convenience of you to be able to hit your protein requirements. We've already talked about timing of protein does not matter, because clearly fasting and protein protection tells that story. But if we are going to supplement with protein because we can't get enough from food, I like to get a blend of different proteins. Collagen protein is great. Collagen peptide protein is great. I like to get a high quality organic whey. You can save that for your post-workout, your post-weightlifting sessions. Essential amino acids, I can do a whole nother talk about essential amino acids. I like essential amino acids much more than branched chain amino acids. The reason being is because branched chain amino acids, they're phenomenal, don't get me wrong, but they elicit a insulin response. And we want to keep insulin at bay. Raising your insulin breaks the fast. And so essential amino acids can be added during your fast. And there's so much more literature. The EAAs for short is kind of a brand new thing. Even a lot of my favorite opinion leaders in this space haven't even really got to that point. So I use essential amino acids, and we do recommend that in our program for our patients. I just started this week and have no hunger. Can you give some examples as to? Oh, okay, that was the first part of your question. Got you. So then I didn't see that. So then yes, if you're struggling to get enough food, then you probably can't. So actually, one of the problems, right, with Mounjaro and Ozempic is it's so freaking powerful at suppressing your appetite. And remember, in my program, you have to eat enough calories on your non-fasting days, right? I'm strategic about fasting for 48 hours and eating enough calories on the other 5 days. This prevents that metabolic plateau from happening. And so the medications, the GLP-1s, are so powerful for some people that they cannot get their 1,500 or 1,800 calories. So if that happens to you, then we got to be creative. So I recommend blending a superfood, making yourself a superfood shake. You can get really crazy with this. I mean, think about a superfood shake. You can have almond milk, you can have an entire avocado, a couple tablespoons of chia seeds, a couple squirts of some MCT oil. You can even throw in some avocado oil, and you can get 1,000 calories in a freaking shake. And so you sip on that and have a full meal, like a solid meal later. It should be really easy for you to hit your caloric requirements and not feel that, like, because these GLP-1s can make it hard to eat. Okay, great. AOD stands for anti-obesity drug. All right. Longevity Clinic Russia. I've been seeing a lot of your questions, and thank you for doing what you do as well and finding this information helpful. I've seen you interacting a lot, and I've actually answered a lot of your questions, so I'm really happy that you joined us today. Maybe you should share with me later what you do out there in Russia. All right, winding down to the last questions, guys. If you just joined us in the last couple minutes, please hit that like button and subscribe for more content. I will be going live every Wednesday at 7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and I'll eventually open it up to maybe 2 if this continues to grow. We're going to be talking about sustainable weight loss, peptides, working out, everything fitness related, and then a lot of Q&A. So which is the best as far as loss of appetite, Ozempic or tirzepatide? Tirzepatide. I have a video on that that's actually pinned where I talk about that, but we definitely noticed that Mounjaro tirzepatide gets better appetite suppression. And the reason being is because it acts on an additional set of receptors. The semaglutide acts on the GLP receptors, but the tirzepatide acts on the G1P receptors. And so you get this dual effect. And it really, really calms down that food chatter, which is that anxiety over having to eat more. Let's see if I can squeeze in one more. Thank you. Is 24 hours enough not to lose muscle mass? Well, the answer is either one. So because your body is going to increase growth hormone, because the catecholamines, and research still needs to continue to come out to be conclusive. We don't fully know, but what we know is that you can make it up to 48 hours plus, maybe even 3 days, and not experience muscle loss. In fact, you'll experience muscle protection because that fasting is going to go along with caloric deprivation, right? Because you're not eating. So anything less than that is going to be fine. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to jump on with Dr. Love. So anybody wants to continue to hang out, we're going to keep rolling. So thank you guys so much for making it, and we'll see some of you off next week if you're done for the day. Oh, Dr. Love declined my invite. Maybe he's in the middle of something. So I guess I'm going to keep going, guess. I'll probably join him in a couple minutes. Let's see. We talked about that already, Steffi, about how we do the fasting with water, coffee. We talked about that already. It looks like I've gotten through all that already. Okay, perfect. Do you know how to zone in on thyroid levels, T4 and T3? Yeah, so one of our initial panel that we do on all patients includes free fraction T4 and free fraction T3. Hashimoto's is very, very common for women. Autoimmune diseases are just more common for women than men in general, and Hashimoto's is one of the more common one. So Hashimoto's, guys, is an autoimmune destruction of the thyroid gland, unfortunately, and it's an autoimmune disease, right? So what is an autoimmune disease, right? Because the medical community likes to talk about autoimmune diseases like they're all different, and they really aren't. An autoimmune disease is an overactive immune system that is targeting a certain set of tissues for destruction, and that destruction is inflammatory in nature. That's what autoimmune disease is. And so I don't like to call these different conditions because in the functional world, we treat all autoimmune diseases very similarly. I think the only difference is the genetic component with each autoimmune disease. I think there's some unknown genetic predisposition as to why autoimmune patient A has Hashimoto's and why autoimmune patient B has multiple sclerosis, which is destruction of the central nervous system. And so it's, and a lot of unknown is there. But regardless of what type of autoimmune disease, we got to approach it in two different ways. We got to calm down the immune system, and we got to reduce the inflammation. Now, is autoimmune disease a roadblock to weight loss? No, not necessarily. And so this is what we take a deep dive in on that first consultation with you guys to find out what we're working with. The autoimmune disease means that we can't be as laissez-faire with our diet, and we can't afford that kind of luxury, and we're also more inflamed, which means when we're more inflamed, we might not respond as well. Well, what do we talk about fasting, guys? What does fasting do? Does anybody want to say, what does fasting do? It reduces inflammation. It heals the body. And so that is why this program can be so great for autoimmune patients too as well. So we do check free T4 and T3 levels, Steffi, and we get those balanced. We get those balanced, and we like to balance it and increase it with like NP thyroid or Armour thyroid as opposed to those synthetic levothyroxine, because we don't want to give you just T4. We need to give your body T4, T3, T2, and T1. I saw you on the other live. Please explain a bit more about self-injecting semaglutide. How is it shipped? It's cold shipped right to your doorstep with all the needles, the mixing kit, the alcohol prep pads. Injecting is actually really, really easy. It's the same type of injection process as a diabetic. And what it is a subcutaneous injection. So it's a very tiny little needle, and you poke the fat tissue, and you just pop it in. You almost never fill it, and you inject the peptide. It's that simple. All right. Thank you for all your helpful info. Can't wait to start. And thank you for sharing. Ozempic is awesome, but when I got off of it in 3 months, I gained all the weight back. Can you help? Well, Julie, hopefully you have been listening to today's live, because we talked a lot about it. And if you want more information about how we can help, we can absolutely help. Please click my bio and check the free ebook. You can also reach out to us and schedule a consultation. I know how frustrating that is. You gained the weight back because you stopped the medication and your hunger came back. Now, our patients are going to stop the medication, and their hunger is going to increase. There's nothing different. We don't have a magic wand and cause our patients to not have the same reaction when they stop the medication. But the difference, hopefully I made you laugh there, but the difference is that our patients have a massively amount of increased metabolic flexibility. And it's that increased metabolic flexibility that allows them to rely on regular amounts of prolonged fasting, say every 2 to 3 weeks, or maybe a 3-day fast every 4 to 6 weeks, coupled with intermittent fasting every other day, maybe some cyclic ketogenic and carbohydrates on their lifting days. It's that ability that they have that they can keep it off for the rest of their life. And so we work with patients like you who gained it back, or patients who are stuck and they haven't gained it back, but they're not losing. And so either format, we can work with you and get you fixed up. My favorite electrolyte brand is, and I'm not affiliated with Dr. Berg. I probably should, because that guy already makes enough money. But Dr. Berg's electrolytes, now he's great. And he is definitely one of the, I would say, godfathers of fasting. He's definitely up there on my top 10 list of fasting experts. And I hope one day to become one of the top 10 experts that people consider, because this, as you can tell, I think fasting is just so freaking amazing. All right. So thank you, Julie. I hope that this helped. Hope you found this is helpful. If you just joined us, apparently I'm extending today's live, because Dr. Love declined. I'm going to probably try maybe in a couple more minutes and see if he wants me to come back on or not. But meanwhile, if we still have questions, guys, I'm still rolling. Yeah, Dr. Berg is freaking awesome. So if insurance denied your Mounjaro, then, you can either, obviously, I'm not going to tell you buying it from us is the only way. If finances are tight, you can work with the doctor that was prescribing it for you and see if they can do a prior authorization. I mean, talk to the clinic, right? Maybe talk to another clinic. But if you've exhausted all measures of getting insurance to cover it, then you have the option to purchase it from clinics like us. And I can tell you from what we do is we vet, and I've vetted a lot of clinics, and we work with a high quality compounding pharmacy, Southlake Pharmacy. They're US based compounding pharmacy, and they deliver nothing but the highest quality peptides. A lot more than just these types of peptides, the appetite suppressing GLP-1s, but they have peptides, and we deal with peptides for healing, gut healing, sexual enhancement and vitality, anti-aging. There's literally a peptide called Epitalon that literally makes you live longer. Freaking crazy. And I'm not going to talk too much about that. That'll be a different webinar, or a different TikTok live. How many units of 5 milligrams of tirzepatide does one start with? So I'm glad you asked that question. This is Darlena Johnson. So this is a really confusing topic when we talk about units of volume and we talk about units of mass, measurements of volume, measurements of mass. I'm not going to get into that right now. I have a video on my profile. I think it's titled "Nomenclature of Peptides." I don't remember, but it's one of my most recent ones I posted in the last couple of days. Watch that video because I can tell you're a little confused. So, and it's okay though, because I talk to doctors and I talk to very brilliant people who don't understand the measurements. It's confusing at first, but once you watch that video, you're going to understand. So in terms of how much tirzepatide we start with about 2.5 milligrams. And in the concentration that our compounding pharmacy makes, that comes out to be about 25 units of fluid, or about a quarter ml. But remember, the concentration or the volume doesn't mean anything. It depends on the volume times the concentration, so that you can talk about how much of the actual medication, how much of the actual peptide you're getting, which is about 2.5 milligrams. And then we find that our patients do well anywhere between 2.5 and upwards to 5 milligrams a week. So Denise Michelle, is it safe if you have any autoimmune diseases or diabetes? So yeah, I think I answered that question already. We talked extensively about diabetes, but I can brush on it again. By the way, guys, if you just joined us, we're probably going to keep going here for a little bit longer before I try to join Dr. Love's live. And if he doesn't answer the second time, then we're just going to probably go I'll probably go to 8:30, guys, another 20 minutes if people are still around and have questions. So if you just joined us, please hit that like button and subscribe button. I really appreciate it. If you're enjoying this content, please let us know. The likes definitely help out, as you can imagine. Introduce, if you just joined us, your name, where you're from, and even if you just want to say hi, and what kind of question you have in the categories of sustainable weight loss, maybe what you're running into, and we'll dive in. You know, I'm seeing so many doctors offering these GLP-1s, as they should, because it's the freaking best thing since sliced bread. But I don't see a lot of them talking about the sustainable part of it. I've seen a couple, but I haven't seen a lot of them. So hopefully you guys are finding this content very helpful. Okay, so for autoimmune people, yeah, it's safe. It's just the autoimmune disease can be a roadblock. And so for a lot of my autoimmune patients, what I like to do in addition to the program is two things we look at. We look at low dose naltrexone and BPC 157. So BPC 157 is a gut healing peptide. It's freaking amazing for gut healing and systemic healing. But almost all autoimmune patients have gut dysbiosis or some form of leaky gut. And leaky brain sometimes too as well. And so BPC 157 is a game changer for healing the gut, which is going to be not necessarily necessary, not saying you have to do it if you're trying to do my program and you're an autoimmune patient, but it can be very helpful. And if we hit a roadblock in your program and we didn't do that, and I've done as much as I can to reduce inflammation, then we know then we gotta hit the inflammation hard with something like BPC 157. Another option is called low dose naltrexone, which is really, really awesome in the anti-aging space. So naltrexone is a drug that is prescribed for opiate recovery addicts and alcohol recovery addicts. But this low dose naltrexone is it's like a 90% decrease in the amount that they would use for its indication. So it's an off-label usage. And it is amazing for systemic decreases in inflammation and modulating the immune system. Modulating the immune system. What the heck does that mean? Modulating the immune system means calming it down. It means calming down an overactive immune system or even improving the performance of an underactive immune system, which is almost never the problem with an autoimmune patient. But very, very, very powerful immune system modulation. So, and diabetics have a little bit more to be concerned about, right? Hypoglycemia is a real medical concern. You could die from hypoglycemia, right? I've never heard of anybody dying from fasting, honestly, literally. I've never heard of that happening once. And I think Big Pharma would be all over that. The pharmaceutical companies, by the way, guys, have a tendency to blast. I don't know if you've noticed this yourself, but just a little bit of eye-opening awareness in the society that we live in right now. The media freaking blast anytime somebody gets hurt from holistic medicine. They never talk about the thousands and thousands and millions of people that die from drugs, but they'll blast a single case of somebody getting hurt from holistic medicine. It's freaking crazy. Or they'll talk about this drug and blast it all over the media with this new drug that has, and you actually look at the side effects and how effective it is. Not even that effective, but they'll blast that and never talk about all this other stuff. Anyways, guys, I mean, we know why that is. We gotta open up our awareness to the world that we live in right now, the healthcare system that we live in, or the sick care system that we live in, because it's BS. All right. My paternal grandmother had thyroid cancer. Would I be able to use these diet drugs? You know, that's a great question. And that's going to depend on a lot of factors. And so I would say the answer is potentially no. You know, the answer is potentially no, because what we would, and when you have your medical evaluation, whether it's us, hopefully with anybody else, we're going to want to find out a couple things like what specific type of thyroid cancer, how fast did she die, the exact relationship to you. There's a lot of variables that get into that question. But at the end of the day, all we're trying to do is gather as much information so that we can help make an educated guess together. Either we're going to say flat out no, or we're going to say, you know what, here's the risks at hand. The reason why it's a contraindication potentially for thyroid cancers is because the mice that were studied on, some of them did get some medullary cancers. And so it has been in science. We use rodent models for a reason, right? Obviously, we're not testing humans, and in many times, rodent models do not carry over to humans, but sometimes they do. And so it's definitely one of those things that at this point, it's just, if it's thyroid cancer for an immediate relative, the answer is probably going to be no. And rightfully so. I wouldn't take that risk, and I wouldn't recommend that risk. If you want to push it for the appetite suppression, freaking get on tesofensine. Tesofensine is amazing. And tesofensine is very, very potent for appetite suppression. And I'd much rather you be safer and do that. All right. Let's go back to the bottom. Other options besides Ozempic and Mounjaro. So we were talking about, I like that Denise said facts, baby. I love it. I love it. If you like it when I drop the facts of the sick care system that we live in, I got to be careful because Big Pharma is probably watching me. So freaking A, man. But I'm glad you appreciate that. Okay. Other options besides Ozempic and Mounjaro. So I talked earlier about tesofensine. Tesofensine is amazing. It's in phase 2 clinical trials right now. It was originally intended as an Alzheimer's medication, but they found out an amazing side effect of of weight loss. It is a triple monoamine reuptake inhibitor, which is a very, very fancy medical way of saying it inhibits the reuptake of dopamine, serotonin, and noradrenaline, which all three of those together are going to crush your appetite and increase your metabolism. So it's very, very awesome. Doesn't work as strong as the GLP-1s, which is why it is our go-to as an option number 2. Does tesofensine lower blood sugar? Not directly, no, it doesn't. Indirectly, though, it can, because if you are going to be doing fasting with us, then your blood sugar is going to drop. But that's a good thing. It's going to drop from a high level or a non-optimal level to a more balanced lower level. What about Trulicity? So Trulicity is one of the earlier classes of GLP-1 medications, and it just doesn't work as well. And I think that's probably part of why it didn't blow up the way that Ozempic did. Ozempic was just much better. And then tirzepatide, I think, is much better too. I mean, that's how these medications work. And I forget the name of it, but I was reading about the next one that's coming out freaking after tirzepatide. It's crazy right now. I was actually reading, there's about 10 different obesity medications in the pipeline. And look, they're trying to find the magic pill, but there is no freaking magic pill, guys. And hopefully, if you're listening to me, there is no magic pill. The magic pill is lifestyle, and I think the most potent lifestyle thing you can do is prolonged fasting. All right. If you just joined us, please hit the like button and subscribe if you want some more amazing content. I plan on not stopping. I'm going to pump out 3 videos a day of everything that I can think of that's pertinent to sustainable weight loss, anti-aging, hormones, diabetes, you name it. Let's see. So Steffi asked, what about jaundice? I'm not sure. What do you mean, what about jaundice? And then what do you put with it to manage high A1C? So we're not going to manage your A1C. If you work with us, we're going to manage your weight. We're going to get that weight under control. We can expect the A1C to lower because prolonged fasting is freaking amazing. I mean, what is diabetes, guys? High A1C, high insulin. What happens when you fast? Blood sugar drops. So your A1C is going to drop. Your insulin levels drop. It's one of the best things you can do for addressing diabetes and trying to actually reverse it is regular amounts of fasting. Longevity in Russia says she loves LDN, but she's never used yeah, BPC 157 is freaking phenomenal. So I can tell that you're helping patients in the same way that we do. So definitely check out BPC 157. LDN made me worse. Yeah, like anything, Steffi, you're gonna have to do trial and error. What I love about the holistic space is that the side effect profile for the most part is significantly lower than medications, right? Like with medications, they got to be careful. They can't throw a bunch of medications at you. But with the holistic space, we can have a little bit more of that. I don't want to say throwing darts, but we do our best based off observation and deep, consultation and medical evaluation. But the side effect profile for these types of holistic procedures is much lower. So we can be a little bit more aggressive with our recommendation and try to find out what works. Yes, we do blood work with people. Oh, thank you for letting me know. Dr. Love is at another live with somebody else. Did he double book himself? He freaking told me he wanted for me to join his. I think maybe he just completely forgot and double booked himself. So is he still? Let me know. Let me know if Dr. Love is still live with somebody else right now, because I'll try joining him in a second if he's not. We do, and the way we do labs, the way we work with our patients out of state, as we work with LabCorp, and so LabCorp is everywhere, right? LabCorp is all across the country, and so we can send you into a LabCorp to get your initial labs drawn. So, all right. What type of fat? So Tracy is asking. Yeah, he's still on the live with another guy. Thank you, Steffi, for letting me know. Tracy says, what fasting schedule do you recommend? So our program is centered around a 48-hour weekly fast. Okay, and so if you just joined us, Tracy, then please go to my bio and get a copy of my ebook, because it'll take a comprehensive deep dive over our approach and how the heck we can jump into it. But basically, we utilize the peptides, tirzepatide, Mounjaro, the same thing, right? One of those, and we stack that with AOD 9604, and we work you into a deep 48-hour weekly fast so that we can incinerate that fat, build a ton of metabolic flexibility, and then keep it off for the rest of your life. That's what I'm all about, and that's all I care about, and that's what you guys should be caring about. Whether you embark on your journey with us or somebody else, you should be asking yourself the question, how the heck do I, like whatever program I'm looking at, does it seem realistic knowing myself that I'm going to be able to keep it up for the rest of my life? Whoever's trying to sell you the program, that's great, learn about the program, but you got to ask yourself, can I keep up with this for the rest of my life? And be honest with yourself, confronting your strengths and your weaknesses. Let's see. I have a question. So, San Cairo 91. I just graduated from chiropractic school. Congratulations. I'm also a doctor of chiropractic, and I work alongside medical practitioners. I've been involved in the medical side and functional side my entire career. So congratulations to you for your journey of being a recent grad. And you're also about to get on Mounjaro. How can I implement this kind of stuff in my future practice? So, the model for you as a chiropractor is you're either going to be straight chiropractic, high volume, or you're going to integrate with a medical team. So you can privately DM me and we can talk about that. Probably keep that for a separate topic than everybody else here. But glad you're starting your weight loss journey, and definitely good luck to you. Download my free ebook and learn more about sustainable weight loss. All right. So let's see. Scrolling through the questions here. Have you heard of fasting causing high blood sugar? I have not, but your blood sugar can rise without you eating any food, right? Cortisol is going to can cause blood sugar to rise. When you get stressed out, cortisol rises and blood sugar rises. And so your blood sugar can rise independent of eating. And so do I think fasting causes high blood sugar? No. Do I think a stressful situation that happens during fasting can cause high blood sugar? Absolutely. Maybe you're fasting and something happens and you freak out and you get anxiety and you get anxious over it, and then that causes cortisol and that causes high blood sugar. I mean, I'm just theorizing, but as a general rule of thumb, your blood sugar is going to drop, your insulin's going to drop. No, I haven't heard of fasting outside of the examples that I just mentioned causing your blood sugar to rise. Is the gut healing one safe for teens? Absolutely. BPC 157 is so safe. Guess what, guys? Peptides are not drugs, right? Peptides are innate in our body. I have a video, I think it's titled, "What the heck is peptide therapy?" or "What is peptide therapy?" Peptides are made by the human body. I like to use the analogy of hormones. Peptides are cell communicators, right? And so BPC 157, body protective complex, is the name of that. And so when you inject BPC 157, you are enhancing that signal, right? Well, why do we have to enhance our signal? Well, that's a whole nother, topic of discussion. It's the same reason why we got to take hormones, why our testosterone levels drop. Because we're exposed to so much toxic crap and so much higher levels of stress that our body's internal systems are not working as well. And so we need to enhance those communications. And so that's what peptide therapy is. And so BPC 157 is definitely great for people of any ages. I would say that we haven't done it on children. But just my initial reaction is I'd be very comfortable and very confident that it'd be no problem for teenagers. Anything younger than toddlers, I think we would probably want to take a deeper dive in what's going on with that child. But look, all these children that are getting ADHD and being put on Ritalin, oh my gosh, just clean up their freaking diet. They have food triggers. They're inflamed like crazy. Clean up their diet, remove the triggers, heal their gut up. I think BPC 157 could be a great addition, and watch their freaking ADD get significantly better. Taking the right supplements too as well. Some chiropractic care in there I think would be essential too. Can a person work out hard and stay healthy on the 48-hour fast? That's a great question. That's a great question. So working out and fasting, like how does that go? So in the beginning in our program, we recommend that you don't embark on anything more than walking during your 48-hour fasting and the day after, right? So if you're fasting on Mondays and Tuesdays, Wednesday's your recovery day, I would take it easy on those 3 days. I would not do anything strenuous, just walking. And then the other 4 days is when I want you to get your resistance training. So this is interesting. If you're used to taking a day in between your weightlifting sessions, I'm going to ask you to do them back to back to get your 3 days or your 4 days of weight training on the other 4 days. There's a lot of reasons for that. Number one, your body is and side note, you can work out during a fast, but I wouldn't recommend it in the beginning of this program because your body's already going through enough stress. And so you don't want to put it under any more stress. Adapting to the fasting is already stressful enough. So once you become a veteran faster, once you finish my program and you have a high amount of metabolic flexibility, then you can start working out fasted. I work out fasted all the time. I love working out fasted. So I'll eat my last meal on, like last night, for example. I like to lift weights between 12 and 4 p.m. That's my ideal weight training session. And so I completely fast. I don't take anything other than my pre-workout drink. And I do really, really well. But that's because I have a high amount of metabolic flexibility. And so we talked about metabolic flexibility, and there's a little bit more to metabolic flexibility. It's not just it is your body's ability to burn body fat. And so when your body becomes better at mobilizing and burning body fat, guess what? It preserves the glycogen in your muscles. It holds on to that. So this is why you can be strategic and eat your carbohydrates on the weekend, do your weightlifting on the weekend, do your fasting and your keto on the week, because you're busier anyways, and so it's probably going to be harder for you to get your weightlifting in. That's the best recipe for success for maintaining. And so hopefully that answers your question about working out and fasting, prolonged fasting. So if you just joined us, guys, looks like I'm probably not going to catch Dr. Love. So I'm just going to probably keep going maybe for another 15 minutes or so. I know I thought I was going to cut it off for 8:30, but we had more people join. And so I'm not tired. And I'll tell you guys, I'm not tired because I did my morning sunlight and I actually did not have a second cup of coffee today, specifically because coffee, I'm a big fan of coffee, but coffee actually robs you of energy later. So a little trick is if you know you got something to do in the evening time, don't do your afternoon coffee because that is going to make you more tired in the evening. And so I can tell I have a heightened sense of energy right now. I was yawning a little bit in the middle of the day, but because I didn't rob myself of energy later by having a cup of coffee in the afternoon like I normally do. Okay, so he is off his live. Okay, great. Well, then I'm going to try to join right now. Let's see. If he denies me a second, it's okay. Oh, there he is.
Dr. Dean.
Hey, I was getting my feelings hurt because you didn't accept my invite.
I was live with another great collaborator. We just finished. So good to have you on. So who remembers Dr. Dean? Give a like, give a thumbs up, give a roar for Dr. Dean. This is my peptide doctor, my anti-aging longevity doctor. Super handsome, super intelligent, lots of fun. Very very healthy. If you see us next to each other, he's got very big biceps. He's very well worked out. So, Dr. Dean, how did your live go today? You did your first live on your own.
It was my first live, and I got to thank you for inspiring me to do this. It was so much freaking fun. Oh my gosh, that was so much fun. I enjoy the Q&A questions because they're unique, and you get to approach them. You know, you have your videos and but then you get to take each question individually, and it always comes out a little bit differently. And so I just love hearing the unique versions that come out to answer their questions. And it was a ton of fun, and I'm excited now. I'm definitely going to be doing this regularly with my group. I had 18, or I had 20 at my peak. So
that's great.
Yeah.
I started out at 5. It went up to 50. Now, by the way, you stepped into a room. There's 422 people right now. So
wow.
Yeah, we got an amphitheater filled here. So what are your questions? So Dr. Dean is an expert in sustainable weight loss, in anti-aging with stem cells, and then with peptides for brain health. Let's talk peptides for brain health. We were just talking about peptides for parasites in the brain health. Let's talk about peptides. So for those of you who were here last week, we talked about Cmax, C-Lank, cerebrolysin. I know these are weird words, but I'm repeating them because I want you to know them, because you're going to be hearing them more and more over the next year, 2 or 3, especially if you're into improving your brain health. So which one would you like to talk about?
Oh man, I say we could start talking about C-Link and Cmax.
Okay, great. So for those who aren't familiar, can you explain a little bit what a peptide is, and then why this is so much better than a prescription drug, and the benefits this offers for brain health?
Yes. So peptides are, my gosh, I really think we have something here that could be the future of medicine. And so I always like to use the analogy of a hormone. You know, a hormone is made by your body, it floats around, and it causes a certain process to turn on. Peptides are a little different, but very similar. They're cell communicators in essence, and right? So what it literally is a chain of amino acids. Amino acids are the building blocks of protein, and proteins are the building blocks of our tissue. We are made out of protein. And so a protein molecule is a ton of tightly wound up amino acids, but peptides, you can think of them as like mini proteins, just like a small chain of maybe 20 or so peptides, and they're not so tightly packed. And so they get released by a cell. They float around to a very specific, when you think about how crazy that is with the body and the amount of blood vessels, how the heck that happens, I mean, who knows? That's a whole other conversation. But this is what they do. They float around and they target a specific tissue or a specific group of tissues, and they turn on a process. That's it. They turn on a process. They're broken down by your body within 20 minutes. But it doesn't matter because they turned on that process that your body was not activating as much because it's weakened.
Wait, So they're short chain amino acids, like it's a really short protein, and they're processed within 20 minutes. Because I've been injecting these things. You're telling me they're gone in 20 minutes?
They're broken down very, very fast, and that goes hand in hand with how sensitive peptides are. This is why some of them come in amber bottles, because they're some of them are even light sensitive. They're all temperature sensitive, and then you get, so peptides are very, very fragile, and they're broken down very fast in the human body, but they're long enough to be able to float to an area and target a certain tissue and activate a process. That's what's so awesome about these peptides.
And this is
Um,
why they're safe, right? Because they're broken down so quickly, unlike um, unlike pharmaceutical drugs, which our body takes a while to break down. They have a half life of, they can have a half life of 2, 4, 6, 8, 12 hours. It takes a long time to break down peptides because they're so natural. Our body breaks them down very quickly.
And our body, if you look at the dosing too of medications, usually most medications are milligrams, peptides are micrograms. We're talking a thousandth of the amount of a peptide in order to have a very powerful physiological effect happen. Look at insulin. People think about, well, I've never heard of peptides. Insulin's been used for
That's right.
decades,
Right.
and that's a peptide. And so peptides, in Russia is actually a place that's really studied them a lot more. They're light years ahead of us in terms of their usage of these kind of anti-aging therapies. So yeah, peptides are freaking amazing.
Absolutely. People are asking where to get peptides. Dr. Dean, I'm going to make sure your link is at the top of my link tree. By the way, follow Dr. Dean. Right there, Colorado Medical Solutions. And if you click the link below my profile, you can become a client of Dr. Dean. And then because you're coming through me, he gives you a really nice discount on if you choose to work with him. And by the way, I think he's one of the best in the industry. I work with him. I take my health very seriously. Um, and by the way, Dr. Dean, we have a very important question. A very attractive woman asks, "Is he single? Asking for a friend."
I am actually, and I am looking to settle down, but maybe I just have a very unique set of, I don't know, but yes, yes.
Good. Dr. Dean, single and looking to settle down. I'm single and not looking to settle down. So you got both of those right there for you. Fantastic. So Dr. Dean's link is at the very top. It says peptides with Dr. Dean. I'll just put, and then so if you want to become a client of his, if you want more information from him, just enter all your information there. His team will get back to you whether you want peptides for brain health, peptides for weight loss. If you want to learn about his sustainable weight loss plan, all that's available, and all that's free information. And so you won't be charged anything. Just if you want to just get started with him and learn about how he helps people. I think we've had a number of people from the Lions Den, from my followers, already sign up to work with you, which is really exciting.
It's super exciting, and they always have the nicest thing to say about you too. And
Oh,
and so, yeah, I mean, I don't know, maybe 10, 15 of your people have already signed up.
oh, that's real. Oh, that's
All,
fantastic. A lot. Because before we talked, it was like 10 to
yeah,
15. Oh my gosh, that's great. Good for you. All right, Evolving Lions, way to take action. The best way, I think this Dr. Mark Hyman said, you can either pay the farmer now or pay the doctor later. So you want to invest in good food because that's going to cut your health bill in the future. Same thing working with a longevity doctor. If you don't want, my parents had knee replacements and shoulder replacements. I don't want either of those. I'm getting stem cells now. I got stem cells 2 weeks ago. I want to have optimal health now and optimal health in the future. I'm getting started now with peptides, great exercise and so forth. And Dr. Dean is helping. The link is right above right up here. Double tap my picture, click the link below my profile. Dr. Dean is the first link. It says peptides with Dr. Dean. Click there, fill out your information. That will get you started if you'd like to work with them. So tell us, so what do CMAX and CLANC do for the brain? These are peptides that are for brain health. If you're just arriving, please put your first name and where you're from in the chat. We are live with Dr. Dean, longevity expert, and we're talking about peptides. So what do these peptides do for the brain?
yeah. So C-Link is pretty amazing. This is more of an anti-anxiety peptide. So we use that on patients who that deal with basically any type of anxiety. It doesn't have to be a full-blown anxiety disorder. It also has a nootropic effect too as well. So nootropic effect is kind of like a biohacking term that means kind of like a cognitive enhancement. And normally, you talk about biohackers talk about utilizing nootropics when they're looking to tackle a project or do a lot of work, maybe be creative, maybe be focused. And so it does have a nootropic effect on its own. It comes in a nasal spray, but it also has this calming kind of anti-anxiety effect. So as opposed to C-Max, I would definitely go for C-Link if I'm feeling a little bit if I'm feeling a little bit more anxious, a little bit more tense. Maybe I had an extra stressful day and I need to get a quick anti-anxiety effect. And it's so easy to deliver. It's not even an injection. It's actually a nasal spray. And so that's my go-to for C-Link is it's got that nootropic effect and it's also anti-anxiety.
Both C-Max and C-Lank are nasal sprays, right?
Yep. Yep.
Which is great. I've been taking a lot of peptides that are injections that Dr. Dean prescribed, that his team prescribed. And then the nasal injections, I would much prefer. I frankly don't really enjoy sticking things into my butt. However funny that sounds, side of the butt. Yeah, it's not really what I enjoy. So those are great. By the way, a lot of these cognitive enhancing peptides increase something called brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is something lion's mane does to also exercise. So peptides are on the expensive side, generally speaking. They're super powerful, but get started with your exercise. And then lion's mane is an inexpensive way to increase your brain-derived neurotrophic factor as well. Exercise is number one. I'd say lion's mane is the most accessible for most people. And then make sure you're getting your sleep. If you don't sleep, these peptides aren't going to be of help to you. They're really not. Make sure you're getting good sleep. And then if you want to take it to the next level, investing in peptides, investing in some anti-aging, longevity medicine, really good idea. So as you mentioned, C-Lank helps reduce anxiety. And then I think you said C-Max helps improve blood flow to the brain. And so that can be helpful.
Yep. And C-Max actually, so they're both going to have that nootropic effect, but C-Max is going to have a stronger effect on BDNF. So it's going to have a more potent effect on increasing brain-derived neurotropic factor.
C-Max.
Yep. So C-Max would actually be so again, they're both going to have nootropic effect. I'll use C-Link more for that anti-anxiety, but C-Max will actually be like something that we would use as our first peptide for anybody that's looking for real cognitive enhancement. If you're looking for short-term nootropic lifting effect, you do a lighter dose. For our patients that we're working with that are actually looking for some Alzheimer's prevention, or maybe they're actually already beginning to develop it or some other type of neurodegenerative disease, you can up the dose of C-Max and actually get in there and actually heal some of that damage that's already done in that synaptic cleft. It's not as strong as some of the more potent ones, but C-Max on its own at a high dose is a good starting point for some real neuro regeneration.
That's amazing. People are asking, what about traumatic brain injury?
Yeah, C-Max is very, very potent. There's another one that's actually a little bit better for that, and that's Synapsin. That one would be a little bit better for that because that really does improve blood flow stronger. Synapsin, dihexa, cerebral lysin, that's when you start getting into, I would maybe call it grade 2. If we had to put grades of cognitive peptides, I would say C-Max and C-Link, I would put them at grade 1. And then cerebral lysin, dihexa, and synapsin would be more of kind of that grade 2 heavy hitters for some more neuro regeneration for people that really have had some destruction, or maybe you're just older and you can tell maybe you don't have a particular disease diagnosis like dementia or Alzheimer's, but you can tell your memory is starting to go when you're old.
Don't wait for the diagnosis. We're going to spell these in just a moment. We're going to give spelling in just a moment. But here's why not to wait for the diagnosis. Here was what was happening. It breaks my heart this continues to happen. I'm sure viewers, you can identify, and Dr. Dean, you can identify. People have memory loss. They go to the doctor, neurologist, and they say, oh, you have memory loss, but you don't have Alzheimer's. Come back when you have Alzheimer's. They come back 2 years later. Okay, we've tested. We've confirmed you have Alzheimer's. I'm sorry, there's nothing we can do. That's just a total waste. Why even go to the doctor? Why even go for those 2 visits? Right? There are things you can do to reduce your risk of Alzheimer's. I'll name 5 of them right now, and then I'm going to spell these peptides for you. So one is exercise. Exercise is medicine for the brain. It increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, nerve growth factor, improves sleep. Tremendous. Exercise is medicine for your brain. Number 2 is sleep. Sleep is when your brain regrows, rebuilds itself. It's when you get the brain washing with the cerebral spinal fluid. It helps basically every cell of the body. Sleep is essential. Number 3, curcumin. Curcumin is anti-inflammatory. It protects the brain from inflammation, one of the primary causes of Alzheimer's disease. Also prevents the accumulation of plaque in the brain. Number 4, one of my personal favorites is lion's mane. Lion's mane increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor, protects the brain from inflammation. Are you getting the sense of what these things do? These things lower inflammation and increase brain-derived neurotrophic factor. Really, really important. Lion's mane also supports the immune system and helps promote sleep. Again, sleep, very, very important. Number 5, just a really good diet. Blueberries are great. Blueberries have anti-aging benefits. They're good for the skin. They protect your DNA. They're delicious. They're great for the brain. A lot of healthy fruits. Coffee is great for the brain. Matcha is great for the brain. So a healthy diet, all these things are great for the brain. You can take action right now and reduce your risk of Alzheimer's by exercising, improving your sleep, eating a diet rich in anti-inflammatory foods, taking anti-inflammatory supplements. And then once you get that handled, peptides, let me breathe here.
Yep.
Peptides are great for the brain. We're going to spell these for you. Number 1 is CMAX, SEMAX. Think Remax, like the realtor. CMAX, SEMAX. Can you please spell these in the chat, folks? SEMAX. That's the one that increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor and increases blood flow to the brain. Could be very helpful with stroke. It's the kind of starter point for peptides for the brain. CMAX. Thank you. Number 2 is C-Lank. C-Lank. SELANK. C-Lank. This helps reduce anxiety. Who feels anxiety? Give me a roar. Give me a like in the chat. By the way, we only have like 1,000 likes since Dr. Dean came on. He's so handsome and smart. Where are the likes for Dr. Dean? Can we get some likes for Dr. Dean, please? I mean, he's been terrific. So C-Lank, there we go. That's the spelling. C-Lank, that helps reduce anxiety. Thank you for all the likes coming in. Appreciate that. I don't know if you can see those, Dr. Dean. A lot of hearts going on there.
No, I can only see my hearts, I think. There's a few going off right now.
Okay. By the way, please follow him at Colorado Medical Solutions. Double tap him and follow. Number 3 is cerebrolysin. So think cerebrum, cerebro, C-E-R, C-E-B-R-O, C-E-R-E-B-R-O, cerebro, and then lysin, L-Y-S-I-N. Cerebrolysin increases multiple growth factors, including brain-derived neurotrophic factor like exercise and lion's mane, nerve growth factor like exercise and lion's mane, glial growth factor, and then there's one other one. So a lot of growth factors for the brain. That's one of the better ones. And then dihexa, which I have right here. I just had it in my hand. You prescribed that for me. I got so many supplement bottles around me here. But dihexa, it comes in a supplement, it comes in a bottle, and you can actually take that as a pill. And then what does dihexa do?
Dihexa is a heavy hitter. So in the animal studies, what it showed that it did is it literally went into the synaptic clefts where there's damage in neurodegenerative conditions and literally healed the damage. So we're not talking about prevention. We're not talking about enhancing. We're not talking about growth factors. We're talking about literally going into damaged synaptic clefts. Synaptic clefts are the areas where the neurons connect. They don't actually physically touch, but there's a connection that happens between neurotransmitters. And so there's damage that happens in those connections with people that have Alzheimer's and various, I'm preaching to the choir here, but it goes in there and actually repairs those.
Does this repair brain damage? Like if someone has TBI, if someone fell off their bicycle, if someone's in a car accident, this is Dr. Dean, by the way, Dr. Dean, DC. Does that repair brain tissue?
So I obviously want to be as careful as I possibly can when it comes to these peptides. I think that the potential is there. I think the research is early, but I know damn well if that ever happened to me, I'd be taking all of these. And so the reality is there's going to be more and more research on these things over the next few years. And but I'm comfortable with the safety profile, and there's really no other options out there. There is nothing out there that's even making a potential claim that it can do these kind of things. And so that's what's so fascinating about this. And if you are struggling with some pretty, progressed neurodegenerative conditions, the most potent, of course, like Dr. Love said, after you handle all the basics, and I'll share this story you shared it once, but I'll share it again with the peptide conference president. But
I love this story, by the way.
Oh yeah, it's great. But the strongest cycle you can do, which we would recommend if you are suffering with, a neurodegenerative disease, would be cycling between all of these peptides, right? So doing maybe like a 3-month cycle of dihexa, take a break from dihexa, followed by a 3-month cycle of cerebrolysin, take a break from that, followed by a 3-month cycle of synapsin, take a break of that. So, and you could probably stack CMAX with all those because CMAX is a lower grade one. So, and then take a 3-month break of all that and then evaluate. Additionally, looking at getting testosterone levels optimized, looking at some exposure to stem cell therapy, possibly intravenously if you have access to that, although it's hard to do. Those would be all the things that we could possibly do for the most potent and aggressive healing cycle. And I do think there's some potential for some real regeneration. But like you said, so let me share the story now. Like you got to get these basics in. This was 3 years ago, 2020 International Peptide Society Conference. It's the annual one. The IPS, I think, is one of the biggest peptide societies. And I was at the conference. And so this was before like cerebral lysin, dihexa, synapsin were barely being talked about, right? Like not really accessible, not available by compounding pharmacies. And so all these doctors are like, Dr. Seeds, by the way, William Seeds is the godfather of peptides. He's the president of the IPS. And so everybody knew that he was giving a presentation and everybody was so excited. We were all talking about his presentation. It was like on the second day. And so what's he's going to talk about? He's going to talk, and they kept it secret on what these peptides were, what the protocol was. And so the suspense was built up, right? And then finally he gets introduced and everybody's like all quiet. Everybody's grabbing their notebook and they're all super excited. I swear I never saw somebody turn because, everybody's thinking like the idea of like, he's about to give us the secret to the most potent brain regeneration we could possibly. So he walks up there and he's like, and then he pushes it even more. Like he gives a little speech to us as well. He's like, so I know you guys are super excited. We're going to talk about some very powerful things. You guys get ready. There's nothing like this. There's nothing out there that has the potential. So you guys better take notes because I'm not going to repeat this. He says something of that nature. And then he gets in and he like builds it up and he goes, all right, you guys ready? Everybody's like, so it's so built up. And he goes, exercise, high intensity exercise. And it was just like, I couldn't believe it. And nobody was expecting him to say that. I don't think anybody was expecting him to say that. And the point being like Dr. Love's point, like get the basics in, but high intensity exercise is so amazing. Among everything else, it's much more affordable. But once you get all those things handled, the supplements, the lifestyle, the nutrition, the exercise, then and only then should you consider investing in these peptides and get the maximum edge you can get.
Absolutely. So I think Dr. Dean's absolutely right. The head of the Peptide Association is saying the number one thing you can do for your brain is exercise. So write that down and do that. Make that a priority in your life. We have not figured out a way to skip exercise. And even if we did, this is really, really important. Number two, someone recently posted some rather aggressive comments at us, Dr. Dean. They're saying peptides are not FDA approved. That's not true for all peptides, but generally speaking, the FDA does not approve supplements. So this magnesium supplement, magnesium is great for you. 70% of Americans are deficient in magnesium, according to the USDA. This is not FDA approved. The FDA does not approve supplements, period. That's not what they do. They will never approve supplements unless the laws change. They're not going to approve that. That doesn't mean that this is unsafe or that it's not good for you. They simply don't approve supplements. That's not in their regulation. They don't deal with them. So number two, peptides are kind of in that area. So the FDA may not approve peptides. It doesn't mean that they're not safe. It doesn't mean that they're not effective. It's just not being regulated by them. That means you want to go to a licensed practitioner and get your peptides from a compound pharmacy. You can buy them online as research chemicals. That is not the way to get the best quality stuff. If you want really good peptides and you want to do it safely, we want to work with a practitioner like Dr. Dean and his team, who will then prescribe them to you if they're appropriate for you through a compound pharmacy. So we're not saying just go buy peptides off the internet, start injecting yourself. We're not saying that. Get scheduled with Dr. Dean. There's a link below my profile to schedule with him or another practitioner and then get them from a compound pharmacy. Please be safe. We want you to do this the right way. But just because something isn't FDA approved, that doesn't necessarily mean something because they don't approve peptides and they don't approve supplements. Am I right about that?
Oh my gosh, it goes so much deeper. The FDA is not got your best interest and I'm sorry and I hate to say that but the FDA has been trying to ban hormonal optimization. They've been actively trying to ban peptide. They actively I don't even know if you realize this, Dr. Love, they banned peptides that have more than 20 amino acids in them. And so literally an arbitrary rule.
Why not 18 or 21. Like unless their favorite peptide is at 21, they're like, oh, we can't have this peptide.
And they tried to say that, some arbitrary concept that above that becomes unsafe. It's complete BS. So compounding pharmacies have struggled, and certain peptides are just no longer accessible anymore. But then it's a game, right? Some compounding pharmacies are comfortable and they still push it. But my point being, like, we're talking about things that are made by the human body and have amazing potential, and the FDA banned them, banned a good amount of them. So, if you think the FDA has your best interest, I'm sorry, but you need to wake up and look at the entire scene. Dr. Love just gave some great examples of freaking magnesium, which is now like vitamin D, understood
not FDA approved, by the way.
Not FDA approved. So, anyways, I can go on a massive rant about that, but I think the best thing is you got to take responsibility for your health. You've got to take responsibility for your health. And I'm not saying that the FDA doesn't do some good things for us. That's not what I'm saying. I'm just saying they have their agenda. And I believe their agenda comes from the pharmaceutical influence, if you really wanted to ask my opinion. But I don't want to I can go on and on about that.
No, I say that in the lives for sure. Big Pharma buys a lot of ads. By the way, the United States and New Zealand are the only two countries in the world that allow pharmaceutical industries to advertise directly to consumer. Only two countries in the world, us and New Zealand. I don't know why that is. And so, Dr. Dean, can you please tell us about how peptides can help with weight loss and your protocol for that? I need to step off. I've been on the live for a bit. I need to go use the bathroom. But can you talk about the protocol for peptides for weight loss? Who's interested in weight loss? He's got a protocol. Your protocol has helped people lose weight and keep it off at a 94% success rate. 94% success rate. This is really cool. I want you to listen to this. And then if you want to work with Dr. Dean, there's a link below my profile. The first link is that. If you want to get peptides from him, you can apply to work with him. And then he's giving people who come from me a great discount because he's just a really generous, awesome guy. And so please listen to this, take notes. This is kind of complex, but it's really, really powerful. 94% success rate with sustainable weight loss. So Dr. Dean, how are you doing this? And I'll be right back.
Oh my gosh. By the way, the light keeps changing because I need to buy a light. I'm using my computer screen to light this. So that's why I keep having to move. Anyways, I'm going to buy a light by the week. So, okay. So, sustainable weight loss is what I'm most passionate about, especially with all this craze going around for Ozempic and Mounjaro right now, because rightfully so. I mean, these are the most potent appetite suppressing medications / peptides that I've ever seen. And so there's literally, I think I saw a poll that 1 out of 3 Americans have tried this. I don't know how accurate that was, but or maybe that was in one of the states. But I mean, they're going viral right now. But here's my problem, is the statistics already speak for themselves. 80% of people who lose more than 10% of their body weight will fail to keep it off within a couple years. So sustainable weight loss was already the massive problem. And now we have this appetite suppressant, which unfortunately is now allowing more people who couldn't figure out how to lose the weight before now lose the weight. So we're only going to perpetuate the problem. You got to focus on how are you going to keep the weight off in the long run. And so I think that prolonged fasting is the answer. It's relying on yourself. It's relying on your body. I think prolonged fasting is the answer, because when you can get into a rhythm of fasting for very long periods, 48 hours to 3 days, 2 to 3 days, you burn an insane amount of calories. Your body at rest burns anywhere between 1,500 to 2,000 calories a day at rest. That's like 4 hours of moderately intense exercise, and that you could just burn it by not eating for 24 hours and get the benefits of that prolonged fasting affords, which is cellular autophagy, which is a magical process that reduces inflammation and heals the body internally. And then when you fast for 48 hours, you get even more healing and you burn even more calories. Look, we're not advocating that you don't exercise and you don't eat healthy, but we're advocating sustainability. And so my definition of a sustainable weight loss program is the least amount of effort that it takes for you to lose your weight in a healthy manner. So I want you to let that sink in. The least amount of effort for you to lose your weight in a healthy manner. That is my definition of a sustainable weight loss program, because if it's easy for you to do, it's going to be a lot more probable that you're going to be able to keep it up for the rest of your life. See, people don't think about that because they're so hyper focused on the now, unfortunately, and trying to lose the weight. And so think about all the different gimmicky, let's ignore the gimmicky methods and let's just look at the old school, tried and true, counting my calories, counting my macros, portion control, commitment to exercise, resistance training and cardio. You bust your butt and you freaking do it. You lose 100 pounds. That's what I did when I was 16 years old. I lost it that way. But then the high settled in. I got used to being at a healthy weight. And then all of a sudden life hit me like a freaking hammer and I was not able to keep it up. I knew how to do it, but I couldn't keep it up. And so every year I would regain about 50 pounds and have to redo the whole process because I couldn't figure out how to manage everything that was required. I could not, the amount of effort required to keep the weight off was too high. And so prolonged fasting affords a luxury for you that makes it sustainable because you don't have to be so dependent on so much freaking exercise and eating such a perfect diet. I want you to have a healthy relationship with food. And I think that unless you have an autoimmune disease, that's an exception. You can't touch gluten if you're autoimmune. There's just no exception. But with the exception of that, I would rather you have a healthy relationship with whatever your vice is, whether it's ice cream, chocolate, mine is Oreos. And I want you to be able to find a balance with enough fasting and working out and eating healthy to be able to have a small amount of your junk food and have it in your life. So that way you don't binge on it, you don't obsess about it, and you can still maintain your weight. So in essence, it's that prolonged fasting. And then the way that we jump into the prolonged fasting, because you might be asking yourself, well, yeah, you make it sound like it's so easy. It is easy when you take the right combination of peptides. The combination of peptides is AOD 9604. So make sure you write that down if somebody wants to put that in the chat. AOD 9604. And the other peptide is the one that we've been talking about, the GLP-1s, the tirzepatide, the semaglutide, the Mounjaro, the Ozempic.
And Dr. Dean, people are talking about they feel no energy when they fast. Can you talk about how these peptides increase energy while you're fasting?
Yes. So AOD 9604 is a fragment of the human growth hormone. And so that fragment specifically, it does just the mobilization of fat, okay? So there's a term that we have to understand. It's called metabolic flexibility. And I love that phrase because it makes sense. So you got two sources of fuel, carbohydrates and fat. And we have to burn carbohydrates. Our brain runs, unfortunately, primarily off glucose as a primary source of fuel. And so we can all burn carbs effectively, but the skill, this ability to burn fat is not innate unless you put your body into that stimulus. And so metabolic flexibility refers to your metabolism's ability to burn dietary body fat and body fat on your body. So you have to mobilize it. And so when your metabolism becomes more flexible, your body becomes better at mobilizing the fat fast enough to feed yourself during the fast. So when you start a fast, anybody here that started a fast that felt that low energy or the headache or the brain fog or just the crummy emotional reaction, the reason why you felt that is because your body was unable to mobilize the fat fast enough to feed itself, to meet its energy demand. And so
I want you all to get that. This is really important. Mobilizing the fat gives you energy. AOD helps you mobilize the fat faster so you get more energy.
Yep. And so that's why I call it artificially induced metabolic flexibility. And the reason why I'm going to get you to the point where you're not going to need to keep buying peptides, as much as that would be a good business model for me, that's not what I'm about. I'm about sustainable weight loss and making you successful on your own. Plus the peptides are expensive. It is what it is. So I'm trying to get you to do short-term usage, both from a financial perspective and a health perspective. I don't want you to be dependent upon anything other than supplements and healthy lifestyle. And so we're going to do this, the deep fasting, and the AOD is going to make it easy for you till you build that innate metabolic flexibility on your own. Your metabolism is no different than any other system in your body. What happens to your muscles when you train them? They get stronger. What happens to your immune system when you freaking let it get sick? I don't want to talk about vaccines and all that, but when you let your immune system get sick, it gets better, right? You develop antibodies. So your body is an amazing design, and it responds positively to stimuli most of the time. And so your metabolism is no different. The more you challenge it with prolonged fasting, the better it gets at being able to do it on its own.
Fantastic. So you understand the power of Dr. Dean's program. He's got semaglutide, which helps lower appetite, and then he's got AOD 906.
9604.
9604, which mobilizes fat, which increases energy. So this makes the fasting less unpleasant, actually makes it pleasant, and it burns more fat. So you lose more weight faster, much less painful, much more effective. And then this teaches your body to fast without the peptides, so it's sustainable. So that way, you don't have to buy the peptides for the rest of your life. So this is actual sustainable weight loss. A lot of people go on peptides and lose weight and gain it back because they're not doing the protocol with Dr. Dean. Dr. Dean has a 94% success rate, people losing the weight and keeping it off. A lot of you are asking where to get this. You need to get peptides from what do I say? So someone who practices with peptides and can prescribe them to you. If you want to work with Dr. Dean, we got a great link for you set up, and it's got a discount code of 10% if you work with Dr. Dean. Click the link below my profile or go to robertlove.net and then or double click the link below my profile. And then the first link says peptides with Dr. Dean. If you sign up, you get his free ebook on how to lose weight with peptides. So that's a cool book. So you get free ebook, and then you can get more information from his team about if you want to work with him directly. So Kellyanne, we don't know the cost because it depends how much weight you want to lose, do you need any prep? So is your body ready to go, or we got to do blood tests to make sure it's right for you? So we don't know the price, right? We simply don't know, right?
It's going to vary.
How much weight you want to lose? Can you start now? Do you need to do a month of pre-work? How long are you going to be in the program? Do you want coaching for 6 months afterwards? It depends, but you can find out for free, get free information from him, and you get a really nice discount.
You guys also get a free consultation. So I'm not charging you guys, Dr. Love's people, for the initial consultation with me is completely free. That's another thing that I'm doing because I'd rather you have the opportunity for us to take a deep dive and give you a better idea because if you have an autoimmune disease, if you're in a plateau already, like there's a lot of things that we have to navigate through. And so that initial consultation with me is going to be free.
Absolutely. And this is a consultation. It's not a sales call. With Dr. Dean and I talk about what was going to be involved in the consultation. They're answering questions, helping guide you to the right decision. And it's not just like, hey, you got to buy. That's not what this is at all. All right.
No, 100%. Once I give you my recommendations, the prices are going to be there, and it's like, hey, trust me, I have enough people coming from Dr. Love already. No pressure situation.
Your book's already filled up, right? We filled up your calendar like in 2 days. It was really fun.
It was crazy. I've been telling your people that I'm gonna have to hire a health coach eventually to help me out. I do have Jonathan already, but
you got to hire more people because of that. That's awesome. I just want to acknowledge all the evolving lives, all you wonderful people that are investing in your health today. I'm so looking forward to you investing with Dr. Dean today in 3 months, 6 months, 9 months. A year from now, you come on and say, I've lost 20 pounds and I've kept it off. I've never felt better and I don't need to deprive myself. I fast, 2 days a month or 4 days a month. I feel terrific. I'm so looking forward to that. And this is just a great tool. Weight loss is one of the best things you can do for your brain. One of the best things you can do to reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes, protect your brain from Alzheimer's disease, improve the quality of your life, feel younger, feel happier. Such a great idea. And so people asking about parasites. We had Dr. Josh Hellman on earlier talking about brain parasites. So I'm going to repost that later. That was when the brain parasites was. Just so we're clear. This is Dr. Dean. Dr. Dean Jones, he is my anti-aging longevity doctor. He's my peptide doctor. We're talking about peptides for brain health and peptides for weight loss. So any questions about weight loss? So do you want to explain why gluten? Now gluten for autoimmune disease. Basically, gluten stimulates autoimmune disease. One of the primary causes of autoimmune disease for many people is food, and gluten is one of those primary foods. I don't want to get into the science behind it. Basically, it causes leaky gut. We can't break down gluten. If you have autoimmune disease or you don't want autoimmune disease, I highly recommend removing gluten from your diet and just say goodbye to it. I did it 3 years ago. It's not that hard. Just say goodbye to gluten. It's okay. Your life will be great. What else do we got here? And so
BPC 157 is a good, by the way, if you're gluten intolerant or gluten sensitive, BPC 157 is not a replacement to get away with eating gluten, but let's say you're doing your best to be 100% gluten free, and it's hard. It's hard to be 100% gluten free. So if you're doing your best to be 99%, BPC 157 can help at least mitigate some of that destruction that inflammation that gluten does. So BPC 157 is great to help you out with just the side effect of being gluten sensitive.
Wonderful. And so people are asking about the benefits of stem cells. So for those of you who don't know, I recently went to Dr. Dean in person in Denver to get a stem cell treatment. I got intravenous stem cells, which went all throughout my body, hopefully my brain as well. And then I got an injection of stem cells in my hip, and then PRP, platelet-rich plasma, in a number of different joints. Dr. Dean, can you talk about the health benefits of stem cells for the brain in particular? But just people are asking about the benefits of stem cells.
Yeah. So, and I have like I said earlier, I work with a team of medical practitioners, and Laura actually is who you saw, and the whole team. And so they're the ones that perform the procedures. And, I'm definitely blessed to have such an amazing team to be able to do these types of procedures. So, okay. So stem cells are innate cells that we have in the human body that are responsible for a lot of our healing processes, right? So if we have an injury that happens, our body does certain signaling processes, usually cytokines and other types of signalers that will draw stem cells to a given area. And then a stem cell goes to a certain area and causes healing. So in the world of regenerative medicine, we've now identified something beyond stem cells that are called exosomes. And so that's actually what you got in your bloodstream was exosomes. And so exosomes are the nano-sized particles, meaning very small, even smaller than the cellular level. These are particles that are released by stem cells. And the research is still very early in terms of like us understanding exactly what it is. I mean, exosome is just a generic term meaning outside the cell, exosome. What we do know that's in exosomes is a couple different things like microRNA, some growth factors, some cytokines, some various peptides, which is kind of cool, some proteins. And so there's a lot of cool stuff. And so they've isolated these exosomes. And why that's important and necessary for brain health is because if you were to get stem cells in an IV, they will not cross the blood-brain barrier. And that's important to understand. And so if you're looking, which don't get me wrong, it's still amazing to get a bunch of stem cells floating around the bloodstream. I'm not knocking that. But if part of your goal is brain healing, like most of your audience, then you're going to want exosomes because exosomes can actually pass the blood-brain barrier and because they're so small. And so they're going to act the same type of way, which is a massive de-inflammatory response. There is nothing more powerful that I know of than an IV introduction of exosomes. Even the peptides, there's no way to compare, but I would say that one dose of exosomes would probably be equivalent to doing healing peptides for several months, would be like a way to try to extrapolate the different, but they're very, very potent. And then of course, if you do both, then you're freaking off to the races. But that's how they can help.
I'm doing all of them. I'm doing exosomes, PRP in my joints, and then I'm doing peptides to enhance the healing for that. So I really want to, this is an investment I've been saving up for a long time. I've been wanting to do stem cells for 5 years. And then I met Dr. Dean about a year ago. It was probably about in June a year ago, maybe even before then. And, or no, excuse me, it was in July. And I've been wanting to do these stem cells. I finally got an opportunity to do it. And I'm taking this investment very seriously, just like I want you to take your investment in your health very, very seriously. Take your food as an investment. Your supplements are an investment. If you see a functional medicine doctor or a longevity doctor like Dr. Dean, that's an investment. Take that very seriously because our health is the most valuable thing that we have, and our relationships. And so prioritize your health, prioritize your relationships. Those are the best two things you can invest in. Other things are going to come and go. Right, my phone will be obsolete at some point. We might not need to buy food at some point because we might have AI and robots growing food and delivering it to us for free, which would be cool. Your health is still going to matter, and your relationships are still going to matter. So please prioritize your health and relationships and invest in them, which means investing in vacations for your family, investing in time with your family, and invest in your health and the health of your family. And so if you'd like to get stem cells with Dr. Dean, or if you'd like to find out more about stem cells with Dr. Dean, you would need to travel to Colorado to see him in person. That's not something you can do around the country, but you can do peptides around the country. So anywhere in the country, if you want to do peptides with Dr. Dean, or if you want to travel to the Denver or Colorado Springs area, you can sign up with him, or you just sign up to get more information. Click the link below my profile, this thing right here, double tap my picture, then the first link, and then the first thing there says peptides with Dr. Dean. Just put your name and information there, and he will send you free information. You can have a free call with his team. There's a consult call to figure out what you need, what's best for you. I think 200 people signed up in the last week for information.
Yeah.
And I think it sounds like 15 of you signed up to work with Dr. Dean. That's excellent. I personally vouch for him. This is who I work with, right? This is the person I work with for these things. His staff is excellent. They're just terrific. He's excellent. So if you want to get more information, just get started. You don't need, if now's not the right time financially, that's fine. Just get the process going. Start saving your money. It took me 5 years to do this, right? Hopefully you can do it in, if it's not now, 6 months, right? Have a conversation, put aside some money, 6 months. You're eating well, you're getting good sleep, you're getting good exercise. 6 months from now, you're going to do the weight loss program with Dr. Dean or the peptides with Dr. Dean. That's excellent, right? Make this a long-term goal if you can't afford it right now, but just get started. The link totally works, CC Adams. Can someone else check that, please?
Oh, yeah, that link should definitely work.
Can someone please check the link right now? Or go to robertlove.net and then click the first link. The Parasites talks was earlier with Dr. Josh Hellman. We will have him on again. Dr. Josh was great too. Not working for me either. Really? Did we break the link? Can someone go to robertlove.net and then check that on your phone, please? Spirit Girl says, I just used it. Peptides with Dr. Dean. It's the link that says Peptides with Dr. Dean. Go to your computer and go to robertlove.net and then click Peptides with Dr. Dean. That looks like it works. And just say what you're looking for. You want weight loss, non-weight loss peptides, stem cells. Enter all your information and click submit.
Yeah, we definitely tested that out on our end. So
it should be working. Both links are working. Okay, great.
Okay,
just
cool.
check that. Thank you very much. By the way, you'll also get his free ebook, How to Lose Weight with Peptides. Who wants free stuff? Who wants a free ebook? Get that, read it, understand it, and start saving your money. Because what's more important than your health? And I know almost every one of you has spent money losing weight, and unfortunately, 80% of you have probably gained it back. Dr. Dean's program has a 94% success rate of losing weight and keeping it off. So if you really want to say goodbye to the weight permanently, consider working with Dr. Dean. Okay, so what other questions? Let's talk more about peptides for brain health. So for those of you just joining us, this is Dr. Dean DC. He is my anti-aging longevity doctor and my peptide doctor. And he recently prescribed me some peptides for optimal health, for regrowing my cartilage, and for my brain health. So let's talk about peptides for brain health. So CMAX, remind us again what CMAX is and how that works, Dr. Dean.
Yeah, so CMAX is, I put it like a class 1 of our neuropeptides. And so CMAX is going to increase BDNF, brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is phenomenal for feeling better, for having enhanced cognition. And it's got a nootropic effect too as well. So it comes in a nasal spray, so you can use it for whenever you need an extra lift, whenever you want a boost of not just that physical energy like coffee does, but mental clarity, enhanced cognition, better processing in terms of speed, better learning. And so if you got an important thing that you're studying for, an important project that you're working on, or you're trying to be creative, definitely a couple sprays of CMAX before you embark on that activity would be phenomenal. And then on higher doses of CMAX, you can actually get some reparative effect in the brain too as well. So CMAX is pretty awesome. So
CMAX may help repair the brain. I just read an article about long haul virus. I'm not going to say it, but you know what I'm talking about. This is from Harvard Health. It looks like long haul virus may shrink the brain in some people, may increase the risk of stroke, may increase the risk of memory loss. CMAX could be helpful just for people who have memory loss, who have brain fog, who are at risk of stroke. All kinds of benefits. It improves blood flow to the brain, so that could be helpful with stroke. And it may even help with brain repair. How many people have hurt their brain with traumatic brain injury? I would say probably half of us at one point have had a traumatic brain injury. I had one when I was like 4 or 5 riding my bike, which is a good time to have it because your brain recovers really quickly. But a lot of us who have TBIs as an adult, very scary, and that can cause memory loss. You really want to work to recover your brain after that. Spelled CMAX, SEMAX. Exactly, Chris. CMAX. And so people are asking where to get them. So how do you prescribe peptides? How does this work? People want to know where to get these. Yeah. So once you click the link and submit your information, you can either call us directly or you can have us return a call to you, get you scheduled for a consultation. My team will do a complete evaluation of kind of what's going on, what your goals are. We'll do a lab panel too as well.
And then if you decide that you want to embark onto one of these peptides, there's going to be a medical evaluation from my medical team. And then finally, after we review all that, review the labs, finances are handled, of course, then my team can actually send a prescription, and the prescriptions are put into the compounding pharmacy where they're individually made to the person that we're prescribing for, and then they're shipped directly to your doorstep with everything that you need. So a lot of these are subcutaneous injection peptides, so they're going to come with the needles, they're going to come with the whole kit, and everything that you need to go. And then our team is always available for any Q&A help throughout the entire duration of the peptide program. So weird reactions like how do you inject again, whatever it is, whatever you need help with, optimizing, because we're very, very thorough. We want to optimize the supplements. We want to optimize as much as we can. So all that will be part of the process.
Fantastic. And so I want you to see that this is a lot more thorough than just going to your standard medical doctor for a prescription. He's doing blood work and then interviewing you to make sure the peptides are right for you and what protocol is going to be best for you. And then he's sending this to a compound pharmacy, which is like a small team pharmacy that makes your stuff to order specifically for you. For the cost, we don't know the cost because we don't know how much blood work you're going to need to be done. Are the peptides right for you? What peptides you're going to get? How often you're going to take them? If you're interested at all, just sign up for some free information at the link below my profile. And then the first link is Dr. Dean's Peptides with Dr. Dean, and you'll get his free ebook, How to Lose Weight with Peptides. And it does come with a free consult. So yes, Rhonda Parsons, if you want to do a consult, you can get your questions answered there. Dr. Dean's generously making his team available to answer questions from you. So that's really great. But we don't know the cost because we simply don't know, what you're going to be prescribed and what you're going to need. But I want you to see, this is one thing I really admire about you, Dr. Dean, is that you have a pre-treatment plan, a treatment plan, and a post-treatment plan. Like with stem cells, you said, look, you got to get your inflammation down so that way the stem cells last longer. And then here's your post-treatment plan. For me, it was peptides and taking a lot of fish oil. I'm taking so much fish oil to help with the cartilage. Right? For the peptides, for the weight loss, it's look, we got to make sure this is right for you. Make sure you're not in a plateau. Get your blood tested, make sure this is safe for you. And then, we got your structure for the 1, 2, 3 months, however long it is, probably 2 to 3 months. And then your maintenance plan. Yep. And then the coaching. This man has the physical, emotional, mental game of weight loss handled, right? He's got the peptides, he's got the fasting, he's got the emotional covered and the mental covered with the coaching and making sure you're on the same page. So it really covers a lot. Question, do you take insurance? I have a guess, but I want to let you answer that.
Yeah, unfortunately, insurance does not cover these peptides. So the pharmaceutical names, Ozempic and Mounjaro, are diabetic medications, right? So if you have diabetes, then you absolutely can likely get these covered. We wouldn't do that type of care because we're not going to be your PCP. But you can find a PCP, and you should if you have diabetes. Absolutely.
Primary care physician. That's what that is.
Yep. So we actually work with patients who can get this covered, and so that we'll still work with you. We'll give you the AOD. We'll give you the program. We'll give you everything else. So if you have diabetes, you can likely get Mounjaro or Ozempic, which is semaglutide and tirzepatide covered, and that's great. Wegovy is the other name for semaglutide. So it's the same thing. It's the obesity version. That one's weird, even though that one is supposed to be covered when you're basically obese. A lot of times, for whatever reason, people are struggling to get that insurance covered. And the cash rates for all three of those are freaking more expensive than getting the compounded versions, from a clinic like us or anybody else. So you're much better off getting them in a compounding pharmacy. And then, of course, if you like the idea of our sustainable approach, setting you up for success, then definitely, we're doing 10% off for all of Dr. Love's guests too as well. So.
Fantastic. And so people are saying the link isn't working. So we may have crashed your link. We may have too many people clicking. So if you click the link below my profile, double tap my picture, the link below my profile will take you to a link tree. This is a tree of links. The first link is Peptides with Dr. Dean. Fill out all of your information there, and then you'll get free information from him and his team. You'll get a free ebook, How to Lose Weight with Peptides. Who likes free ebooks? Give me a like for free ebooks. Give me a roar if you like free ebooks. We're really trying to give you as much free stuff as possible. Dr. Dean's on here for free. He goes to bed early. I got him staying up late talking to you for free.
You do.
I do. He like calls me in the morning. He's like, I know you're still asleep. And he's like 2 hours later than we are.
Oh, yeah. I'm like 6 hours before you get up. It's so funny.
All right. So register there. You get the free ebook. And you can do a free consult with his team, ask your questions. He's going to take really good care of you. What he's trying to do, we talked about this. We've had a bunch of conversations. He wants to build a long-term relationship with you to really optimize your health. And I'm looking to collaborate with people like Dr. Dean because I want to optimize my long-term health, and I want to make experts like him available to help you optimize your long-term health. This is not about just selling you peptides. If you want that, just go to somebody else. It'll be less expensive, it'll be easier. They won't make you get a blood test. They won't, they won't ask you questions. Just say, here are your peptides, right? Who's gone to a doctor and gotten drugs, right? Hey, can I just have some drugs, doctor? Yes, that's why you came here for. That's not what this is. This is for your long-term optimal health and wellness. He's got a 94% success rate with his weight loss program. I see him for peptides. He's one of the best. And so if you want a long-term relationship with a practitioner who's here for your optimal health and wellness and wants to support you, that's what I'd recommend Dr. Dean for that. Did I describe you well there, Dr. Dean?
I think you did a really good job. I did.
Okay, good.
I just tested the link out and it worked for me. You know what though? I noticed if you don't have and maybe we should change that, but if the mobile number isn't a complete 7 digits, or if it doesn't have an accurate email, like an @ sign, then the error pops up. But the error pops up and says what to fix. I don't like that. So we should probably change that. But if you get a mobile number and an email, it does accept it. It takes you right to the website, and that means it says no error, and then that information actually goes to my. I'm looking at just in the last.
Is there a number they can text?
Yes, there's a number 2. There's a number 2 that you guys can call.
Write this down. Just text Dr. Love to this number, and then we'll get it. Will that work?
If you were unable to subscribe, you can text Dr. Love to 720-465-1200.
Can someone write that in the chat, please? 720-465-1200.
Yep.
720-465-1200. Thank you, user 3108. Just simply text Dr. Love to that number and then just say what you're interested in. Peptides, more information, and then he'll send you the free resources. If for some reason your email didn't go through and you didn't get the free resources, text that number or message me on Instagram. A couple of you messaged me on Instagram last week, and we did our best to get you your free stuff. And then just establish a relationship with Dr. Dean. Maybe you're ready to take action now. Maybe you just want information and you need to save up some money to get started in a couple months. That's great. I told you it took me 5 years to get stem cells. Hopefully you can get treatment before then. Hopefully you can get treatment this year. That'd be great. But get some information, start saving up now. By the way, just to be clear, peptides are a premium priced product. They're free ways to improve your brain health. Number 1 is exercise. Number 2 is sleep. A less expensive way of increasing brain-derived neurotrophic factor, which is what a lot of these peptides do, is lion's mane. I got a great lion's mane supplement. It's available at my profile, roarlionsmane.com. Comes with a money-back guarantee. If you're taking Roar, if you like Roar Lion's Mane, if you're getting good results, would you give a like? Would you please put something in the chat? Lion's mane increases brain-derived neurotrophic factor. It lowers inflammation, facilitates the growth of new brain cells, all kind of benefits to lion's mane. If you're doing all these things, and you want to take it to the next level, then peptides for your brain could be effective for you. All right. And so I just want you to know, do the free things first, do the lower cost things first. And then when you're ready, take it to the next level with peptides. If you get paid for your brain, right? If you're a doctor, lawyer, architect, if you're a thinker, if you're an entrepreneur, if you get paid to make decisions, peptides and supplements for your brain are going to be the norm. Am I right, Dr. Dean?
Yes, sir. I love it.
Like the line's gonna be out the door at law school. People are gonna say, "Look, I'm spending, $4,000 a month on my brain, and you know what? I'm at the top of my law practice, and you know what? I make that up in like 3 hours of working with clients." Right? It's gonna be like that, right? If it's not already that way in like San Francisco and places where people are really getting paid to think, right? So I invest a lot of money in my health and my brain, and I make better decisions, and that's worth a lot because that means I get to serve you better. I meet great people like Dr. Dean. And right now, we're helping 325 people live a healthier life. By the way, if you're just arriving, please put your first name and where you're from in the chat. If you've learned something from Dr. Dean, put that in the chat. If you like Dr. Dean, give him a thumbs up, give him a like, give him a roar. If you're an evolving lion, give me a roar. And please let us know who you are so we can say hello to you. And this is Dr. Dean Jones, DC. He is my longevity, anti-aging, and peptide doctor. And we're talking about peptides for optimal health. optimal brain health and weight loss. And this is the third time we've had him on in the last week, and he's been totally awesome. So make sure you get his stuff at the link below my profile. Enter your full info. He's going to send you his free ebook. That's great. God bless you, Dr. Dean. Thank you, Chris. He's going to send you his free ebook on how to lose weight with peptides. All right, Dr. Dean, I just did a lot of talking. He says you guys are freaking awesome. Thank you. Isn't Dr. Dean handsome? He's just, look at how masculine and muscular he is. He's the best.
I think shaving the head was the best thing I did. Yeah.
It's good. It's good. You got to update your email picture. Your email picture is a much younger guy with some hair. You got to do
it's definitely if you're balding, just do it. I was scared. I was like, oh man, I'm not gonna look good. But then all of a sudden,
good look on. It's a very
yeah.
No, Dr. Dean is a DC. He's a doctor of chiropractic. And what's interesting is a lot of when I talk to a fair amount of doctors, the ones that are most into functional medicine and most into the future of medicine are often chiropractors because they are much more flexible about what they learn, what they do, what they teach. Medical doctors are very stuck in the mainstream medical system and working with insurance and standard of care and so forth. Functional medicine doctors and chiropractors like Dr. Dean are like, hey, what works best? What's the data? Okay, how can I do that? Right? That's what they're asking. How can I help my patients achieve optimal health? What's the root cause of this? Not what pill can I give you? 100%. That's been my experience of them. That's why there's. All right, Razzle Red says Dr. Dean is very hot. Double exclamation point. That's what I'm talking about. Interesting question. What about PRP for balding? Next time I come see you, I want to get some anti-aging. I'd love to bring my hairline down and work on my skin here. So yeah, what about PRP for balding, Dr. Dean?
So I know I probably don't look like a good example. I did the PRP. The PRP treatments work, and I mean, you could just Google it. There's a lot of clinics that talk about PRP injections. Of course, everybody, when it comes to hair loss, there is an innate genetic component to when you lose your hair, how fast it's going to fall out. So, and then there's many factors that are going to accelerate that, of course. So PRP, I think, is one of the more effective treatments. It's a treatment where we numb the scalp and we're injecting PRP into various spots of the scalp to promote healing, to promote growth. And, PRP is, anybody who's familiar with PRP, it's where we draw your blood, spin it down, pull out the growth factors. PRP is amazing wherever you put it. We use it in joints. We use it in Dr. Love's joints. We actually do it in penises and vaginas too, as well, for erectile dysfunction and women's health, sexual disorders. It's great PRP? There. Oh yeah.
I didn't know that. I knew about the thing for stronger erections. It was like breaking up the plaque.
Yep.
What's that called?
So the shockwave therapy is the device that breaks up the plaque, but the P shot is injecting PRP into your penis. And
that sounds very.
I've had it done just because I wanted to be able to tell my patients that look, it's not bad. They numb it, but imagine, your penis is a very spongious tissue, and there's a lot of potential for growth, a lot of blood vessels in there. So getting PRP in the penis promotes a lot of vasculature, a lot of blood vessel growth, so better erections afterward. And we do it to treat erectile dysfunction. But okay. That's a tangent too much on penis, or vagina. But for the scalp, my point of all that was wherever you put PRP, it's going to help. And then with the PRP treatments, usually 2 or 3 rounds, depending on severity. And then with a laser helmet, the laser helmet works really, really well. There's some literature on the combination of both therapies. And yeah, so it definitely works.
So speaking of sexual function, a couple of things that I think your clinic does that's really great for sexual function is, number one, the peptides for HGH, human growth hormone. Those improve sleep. By the way, if you want better sex or you want better sex drive or higher testosterone, sleep. If you don't sleep, that knocks your testosterone back by like 10 years, like the next day. So sleep, sunshine, and exercise, those are great for your testosterone, great for your sexual vitality and energy. Once you got that covered, there's HGH, the human growth hormone. There's some peptides that increase HGH. I'm taking 2 of them, CJC and ipamorelin. Yep. By the way, the peptides that have morelin, like samorelin, or ipamorelin. These increase HGH, generally speaking. Just to give you a clue on how to decipher peptides. By the way, things that start with L, like L-glutamine, L-theanine, these are amino acids. L signals amino acid if you want to speak the lingo. And then there's the love hormone, the love peptide. Can you talk about the love peptide? This is like my favorite thing, and people want to know how to get it because it sounds super cool. Like anyone I've mentioned the love peptide to, they immediately say, "How do I get that?"
I know. It's crazy. So it's called PT141.
Please.
And yep, PT141. And it's kind of crazy that it has a different effect for men and women. So it's a nasal spray too as well. It could be injection, but I recommend the nasal spray. You spray like 1 or 2 sprays before playtime. It's usually how we call it, is playtime. But basically for women, it's going to increase the sex drive, and it's pretty potent. And then for men, it's going to produce a strong, long-lasting erection. So you think about generally in most cases, the roadblock to sex is, her not wanting it and him not being able to get hard enough. That tends to be, not always. It could be totally gender flipped. So just generalizing here. Somehow this peptide, and it works off these pathways in the brain called the melanocortin pathways, which is still under a lot of research. But very, very minimal increase in blood pressure, nothing like Viagra, which is much higher kind of a blood pressure spike. This, you'll feel a little bit of that, but then you get that dual effect of the increased long lasting erection, as well as just a higher desire from women to have sex.
So it increases desire in women and increases firmness in men. Can we get a roar? Can we give a applause for PT141? That sounds good for everyone on the gender spectrum. That just sounds great for humanity.
100%.
Goodness gracious, that's great. By the way, have you seen the Medici, the Netflix show, the Medici? Who's seen the Medici?
I have.
Oh, it's so good. If you love the Renaissance, it's got beautiful art, beautiful architecture, really interesting stories. It talks about the Medici family that basically supported a bunch of great artists and were the bankers of the Pope. In almost every episode, there are attractive people having sex. And it's like somewhere in the episode, there's this beautiful scenery, and it's very artfully done. So it's not like super nudity, but there's just a lot of artfully done sex in there. And I think, that's what it's like to be alive in the Renaissance. A lot of sex was going down behind the scenes.
Go ahead. They probably didn't have those preconceived ideas of like all this crap that society has put in.
I know
place.
They didn't have all the anti-testosterone things like in receipts. By the way, receipts can disrupt hormones. Sunscreen can disrupt hormones. Staying up late with bright lights like I'm doing to talk to you, these can disrupt hormones. We got a lot of hormone disruptors. So our ancestors really, they had higher levels of testosterone and I think healthier food in a lot of ways if it was clean. And a lot of opportunity for sex because they weren't trying to post on social media all night about how much sex they're getting, right? Glasses, thank you. It's time for me to put on my glasses. Thank you, MCell. Right, they didn't have red light. They did not need to have red light glasses to protect their melatonin. Anyway, great show. I love it. If you like art, if you like the Renaissance, if you like these things, if you like Italy, the Medici is a really great series on Netflix. Okay, so what other questions for Dr. Dean? So again, for PT141, if you want more information, schedule a consult with Dr. Dean and his team. The price is going to depend upon what you get, right, and what's right for you. Okay, so Dr. Dean doesn't just hand out prescriptions. He needs to, have a consultation with you, make sure it's right, and then you'll find out the price there. So please, if you're interested in any of these things, and this is just for free information, you don't need to buy anything. You get a free ebook from Dr. Dean about how to lose weight with peptides, and you get a free consult with his team. You can either text LOVE to that phone number. Dr. Dean, what's that phone number where they can just text you?
720-465-1200.
Can someone drop that in the chat? 725-460-1200, or click the link below my profile.
720-465-1200.
Thank you. 720-465-1200.
I'm jealous of those big red glasses, my man.
Well, thank you. These are good. These are cool looking, right? I got these on Amazon. These are like the, Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas. These are the Hunter S. Thompson, like.
I was gonna say, yeah, that's great. That's great. Um,
So the show, by the way, that I mentioned was called The Medici. It's on Netflix. So text the word Dr. Love to Dr. Dean, or click the link below my profile and sign up, and you'll get a lot of free information. You can schedule a free consult and ask whatever questions you like. Establish a relationship with Dr. Dean and his team. They're great. By the way, did my supplements come? Did those arrive?
we did, and my staff was very grateful.
All right.
They're all pumped up on Lion's Mane, baby.
I haven't done this yet. I think this is a great thing to do. I want to get this to businesses where their employees are paid a good amount of money and say, look, this is going to improve the mental performance of your employees by improving their sleep and improving their brain health. I think you want to buy this for them, because better brain health and better sleep means more productive employees. This is just such a win, right? So good. I'm glad you got it. If you see Dr. Dean in person, they are amazing. They are so wonderful. They are highly skilled. They're very professional, and they're a lot of fun too. They put up with me. We had a lot of fun together. I got a picture with the team, and then for some reason, I don't know why. Please follow Dr. Dean, Colorado Medical Solutions. Follow him. He's got great stuff. We put a video together.
We did, and that was my best performing video.
And then I did just a testimonial video saying how great like it was to work with you and great to come into your office and your team. That got like some stupid number of views and shares.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy.
It's like tens of thousands of people. I was like, why are they sharing my testimonial video? I'm just saying, I like this guy. He's got great stuff. It was crazy.
Yeah, we're definitely going to be pumping out 3 videos a day. I'm committed to the latest and greatest in terms of sustainable weight loss and peptide therapy. That's going to be the emphasis of it. I actually did I thought it was a good video in response to Peter Attia, which I have so much respect for Dr. Attia.
I can too.
And so I was almost nervous to post that video because I disagreed with him, but I'm just not seeing in our patients what he said he's seen. And so I opened it up to, let's see if I hear back from him, but I opened it up to hear what he's doing with his patients, because he's seen a lot of muscle wasting when it comes to the GLP-1 meds, but we're not, and so I wonder if he's doing it the way we're doing it with the prolonged fasting. So we'll be really interesting to see.
But interesting to know his protocol. And also you have an exercise protocol. You want people doing, go ahead.
Resistance training. You got to lift weights, and it doesn't have to be crazy, guys. 2 to 3 times a week. That's it. You're fasting for 2 days. And on the other 5 days, you just do 2 to 3 lifting sessions. Drop the cardio. Completely get rid of the cardio. If you could do both and you love cardio, great. But for most people, they don't have that, right? And a lot of people think cardio is the first thing to go to. No. Resistance training, hands down. You're going to burn enough calories from the fasting. You don't need to worry about burning calories. You want a nice, heavy resistance training session where you are lifting, and I know it sounds crazy, but you are lifting to build muscle. You won't build muscle when you're losing weight, but if you lift with that kind of intensity, like a bodybuilder lifts, you are going to preserve your muscle mass, and that you're going to help even more preserve muscle mass and limit the amount of lean body mass loss. So that, coupled with the fasting, I believe, is why we're noticing that we're not getting the kind of muscle loss that a lot of people are talking about with the GLP-1s.
Yeah. I mean, I hope Dr. Peter Attia responds. I'd love to have Dr. Peter Attia on the TikTok channel. I mean, you've been crushing it here for an hour. We've had 300 to 400 people in the room for the last hour. So we're really reaching a lot of people.
I know. And you got me way past my bedtime, bro.
I'm sorry. By the way, this is Dr. Dean Jones, DC, who's an expert in sustainable weight loss with peptides, and he's my peptide and stem cell doctor. If you're looking for the brain parasites, that was Dr. Josh. That was earlier today. We will have him back on. So that was the brain parasites. And then someone just mentioned, if you're trying to order Roar Lion's Mane, don't use Apple Pay. Use a credit card. If the credit card didn't go through, try a different one. But you will get a confirmation if it went through. And then make sure you follow Dr. Dean, Colorado Medical Solutions, and then sign up to get some more free information from Dr. Dean. He's got a free ebook, How to Lose Weight with Peptides, and then you can ask him. You can do a free consult with him and his team about peptides, about weight loss, about peptides for brain health, about stem cells, any of these things, and make sure you mention my name. He's going to take really great care of you. He's got a great discount for you if you get any services from him. So click the link below my profile, and then the first link is Peptides with Dr. Dean, and just enter your information there, and he'll send you some free stuff, and you'll get it started.
Yep. Somebody in my room, in my much smaller room than yours. Yes, we do have a lot of information, more about the sustainable weight loss. So you can click my bio and access it too as well. So the ebook as well as a webinar and my video content too as well. There's a ton of videos that I have there about different aspects of sustainable weight loss.
Okay, and then Dr. Dean, we've been talking about writing a book, doing a program together. Would you all like a book from me and Dr. Dean, or would you like a video series from me and Dr. Dean? Put that in the chat. Put book or video series, please. We're going to make this available. I think we're going to do it for free, and just share that with you.
There needs to be, because there's not a lot of good peptide books yet. There isn't, and so. Really, really cool stuff, guys. We could talk later on. I'm sure I'll be back, but there's a freaking peptide that makes you live longer, that literally lengthens your telomeres, which is, now we're talking about just crazy stuff, right? Like, really think about it, like a peptide that makes you live longer called Epitalon, and it has literature to support what it does. It literally increases the length of your telomeres. And what we know about telomere length is, as you get closer to death, your telomeres shrink. And so we have something that literally increases the length of your telomeres. And so that essentially prevents all-cause mortality.
What peptide is that?
It's called Epitalon.
Epitalon. Very cool.
Yeah, it's got a weird dosing too. You take it basically twice a year. And that's your protocol. You do 2 bottles a year, 100 milligrams. It's obviously on the pricier side, because it's on the newer side, but I mean, man, you want to live longer, it's Epitalon. I mean, after all the bases are covered, of course.
That's fantastic. So I'm seeing video about 2 to 1.
Video
2 to 1. So I think, Dr. Dean, let's you and I put together a video talking about peptides. We're going to talk about peptides for weight loss and peptides for brain health, and I think we'll make that available to you for free, if that sounds good to y'all. Who would like a copy of that? If that sounds good, give me a like, and or please put yes, I want that in the chat. Do both, would you please? And then let's see if we can get this over to 40K likes. Dr. Dean needs at least another 5,000 likes. He's been up way past his bedtime.
Way past my bed. I'm screwed now. I'm like, I don't have my red glasses either.
All right, we're getting a lot of yeses, a lot of likes. Okay, we'll come out with that. We'll make sure that we can get that for you.
Fantastic. I'm going to take some extra lion's mane after this, as well as my bed rest. I have a good formula for.
Yeah. You're taking the Roar lion's mane, right?
Oh yeah.
I think we want you on 2 doses a night, because you've been taking the one for like over a week and you didn't notice any improved dreams. So try. That's it. I didn't get the dream enhancement yet. That I was able to notice, but I sleep well though. I sleep has never been an issue for me. I've always had good sleep in terms of, for the most part, like occasional stressful times in my life will interrupt my sleep, but for the most part, I've always slept pretty good. So. Oh, good. All right, we're up to 37K likes. Thank you very much. That is awesome. Keep them coming. And then any final questions for Dr. Dean before we go? I mean, I'd love to have you on. We got 300 people still here, but it's almost 10 p.m. your time.
What time are you going till tonight? What time do you end every night, you crazy man?
I usually go until I go between midnight and 1. I've been trying to stop to midnight so I can be in bed by 2. Otherwise, I'm up until 3, and then that kind of shoots my next day. So, right. I mean, with so many people on, I'll probably stay until 12:15 or so, and we'll see. But I got this infrared sauna.
That's about a half hour for you, right?
Another half hour. I love the infrared sauna. I might take people down to the infrared sauna. It's great. I'm taking business calls in there. I do it after exercise, really improving the heat shock proteins after the exercise. There's this new protocol that I'm checking out from Ben Greenfield. Who knows Ben Greenfield? Any big fans of Ben Greenfield? All right, we're at 39K likes. That's awesome. So Ben Greenfield talks about taking high dose, no flush niacin and sitting in front of infrared light in the morning. So I get my early morning sunshine. I do my walk. I'm going to jump rope, and then I'm going to hop in the sauna for half an hour and journal and work on the and then sit in front of the infrared light with the no flush niacin and see how that goes. So I'm gonna try that out for the next week. He says it makes a really big difference.
It makes a huge difference. There's a protocol of doing daily sauna work while using niacin, and the idea about increasing doses of niacin. So I didn't even know Ben Greenfield talked about that, but I was familiar with that from somewhere else. But yeah, the niacin definitely helps to flush out the toxins. It's supposedly does a lot of. I'll share with you the information that I know about it, but yeah, the niacin's supposed to do some pretty wild stuff.
Yeah, do you
And
know how it works? Do you know the biology behind that?
not enough to probably confidently talk about it yet. I just know that it has an effect of releasing toxins in a different pathway than kind of the standard detoxification supports. And so it's supposed to have some pretty wild effect as far as releasing drugs and toxins that have been stored for like a really long time. The more and more niacin you take, the supposed more and more increased effect. But yeah, I don't understand the science yet too much.
Okay, so I think I'm gonna buy that big bag of bulk niacin for like $60 and
Uh,
just I mean, I've heard that the no flush niacin is not as good as the regular niacin, but I've definitely taken too much niacin and got the flush. Anyone else do that? If you're a biohacker, if you've been playing with stuff, you probably hurt yourself with niacin at least once.
oh
Like,
yeah, yeah, you get a pretty bad, but the rash is temporary.
really unpleasant. At first, I thought, oh, do you know when I did this? It was during Biden's inauguration. I took a bunch of supplements. I was going to watch the Biden inauguration. I was taking notes, and I was sitting in my chair. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm so itchy. What the hell did I just do? And it took me a while to figure out what supplement it was that I took that did it. It was this eye enhancement supplement that had a bunch of niacin in it. Um, but yeah, I was really uncomfortable, and I wasn't able to do work. I just sat there really unpleasant for an hour. It was really, I definitely wouldn't recommend it. Um,
Yeah, it does. You can take peptides if you're a type 2 diabetic. Absolutely. Just depends on what your goals are and what you want to do. The only peptide that maybe you wouldn't take if you're a type 2 diabetic would be the GLP ones, because if you're already on a bunch of diabetic medications, you wouldn't want to stack that with it. Although if you're going to use that as your main diabetic medication, then you absolutely could potentially do that.
Fantastic. So, any final questions for Dr. Dean? I know I want to. I mean, I'd happily keep you on, but I want to let you go so you can get sleep, so you can
Oh
serve
no,
your
yeah,
tomorrow.
I got to go after. I'll do a final question, and then I got to prep my brain for sleep.
Okay. So, real quickly, why do you think peptides are so important for our health in the future?
Oh my gosh. I mean, so like there's over 7,000 peptides that have been identified that the human body does, right? So just think about that, right? The human physiology has so many different processes. And so just imagine if your doctor did his job as far as diagnosing you and figuring out what's wrong. And then on his shelf, he had 7,000 different peptides to choose from to be able to fix any single problem and every single problem that you probably could have. And so that I know, unfortunately, probably will never happen because of the powers that be. But if we can get a quarter of that, then man, that would be so amazing. I know that there's about 50 or so, probably maybe like 40 popular ones, and there's several more, like 100 or so, that are in the pipeline right now. So we're definitely in that very early stage of more and more options in front of us. And the more and more options in this space means less and less medications, and less medication means more optimal health. So super, super exciting.
Absolutely. So peptides are the way of the future in that these are found naturally in your body and they have really healthy, wonderful benefits for your body that are side effect free, unlike pharmaceutical drugs, which are foreign to the body and have many side effects just because of how they are. Not, I mean, I take pharmaceutical drugs. They're helpful for many people for many things, and they have a lot of side effects. And peptides can be very helpful for a variety of things, including sleep, energy, weight loss, muscle growth, um, sexual vitality, energy, we're, immune system, bone growth, cartilage growth. We're just learning about some of the powers of these things. They're very, very safe. It's really cutting edge. If you'd like to learn more about peptides, this is Dr. Dean Jones. He is my peptide doctor, and he works with people all around the country. If you'd like more free information from him, he's got an ebook on how to lose weight with peptides and keep it off. If you want to learn about that, or if you just want to learn about peptides in general, click the link below my profile or go to robertlove.net. This is how to get peptides, by the way. You need to work with a functional medicine doctor like Dr. Dean and his team. So click the link below my profile, and then click the first link that says peptides with Dr. Dean. Fill out all your information, and he will send you some free information. And if you want, you can schedule a free consult with him and his team where you can get more information. I will talk about parasites as soon as we let Dr. Dean go. Dr. Dean, you want to give your phone number one more time? Text Dr. Love to this number. His team will get back to you and give you all kinds of free information. So what's that number again, please?
Absolutely. Yeah, 720-465-1200. That's 720-465-1200. That's my call center. Even if you text them now, no one's working right now, but they'll get the text messages when they come in tomorrow. If you've already submitted your form successfully, don't worry about it. But if you had some troubles, then definitely shoot a text, say Dr. Love. It looks like we got about 60 already that just came in from you in the last, hour and a half, Dr. Love, just so you know. So probably give us the half of the day to catch up, but we'll definitely get back in touch with you tomorrow.
Okay. Great. Fantastic. Dr. Dean, thank you so much. It's an honor to work with you. I
Yes.
love that we can just hop on TikTok and we probably talked to 5,000 people in the last hour or so, which is really pretty cool. Someone asked one more time the phone number. Can someone post?
Yes. 720-465-1200.
Can someone post that in the chat, please?
Yes.
Feel to reach out, and then please establish a relationship with Dr. Dean. The future of the world is relationships. You don't just want someone who's going to hand you peptides and say good luck. He's got a system for helping people lose weight and keep it off that works 94% for people, 94% success rate with weight loss. He's got a wonderful team that he's built over years, wonderful people. He's a great person to work with. And so if you want someone to work with you to optimize your health in the long term, I think Dr. Dean is a great person to have in your corner. Well, Dr. Dean, thank you so much for being here. Please get your sleep, and let's schedule something soon. I think we're going to do a video series on peptides. That's what the followers were asking for. So we'll get that set up in the next week or two, and we'll set up a landing page where people can download that and get that started.
Perfect. I'll see you later, guys. Thank you guys so much, and we'll see. Hopefully,
next. Give it up, Dr. Dean. Give a roar. Give a like. Give a thumbs up. Let's get up to 50K likes. We're at 44.9. Give a like. If you learned something from Dr. Dean, put that in the chat. And thank you so much, Dr. Dean.
Yes, sir. We'll see you guys later.